Welcome back to episode 237 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here with Canada's most beautiful and brightest mustache, Phil, looking very clean shaven.
Thank you.
And Baba Louie. Hey, Baba Louie. How's it going,
Hi.
bud?
Going great.
You doing good, Phil?
Awesome. Really good.
Yeah, we've seen each other a lot lately. So, not much to catch up on. This, in fact, is a special episode. We're actually recording in advance of the Fall Expos. By the time you're listening, we're going to be there. We're going to be in hockey card heaven. Do you think we're having fun, guys?
We're having a great time right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm definitely eating something as someone's watching this in real time.
oh really? Yeah. You negotiating right now, do you think? Or, when people are listening, you're picking up a nice PC card. Yeah, I don't know. Well, the reason why we're doing this, we have a very strong commitment over here at the Gong Show to never miss shows, except for the one that still sticks in my craw. So we worked ahead. We recorded 2 great interviews for you today. Our next show will be Monday, and that'll be all the footage and interviews we produced from the Slab Shark studio on the floor of the Toronto Fall Expo. Very, very excited for that one. So we're going to get into the interviews, but before we do, got to give a little bit of an update.
Rip Party.
Very excited about yeah, Rip Party's tomorrow.
Rip Party.
Can we do that again?
Rip Party.
I feel like it embodies us very well. Like,
what a
very
goat rodeo the show is.
Yeah.
At least we have fun though, right? Isn't that the whole point?
Always have fun.
Life. Rip Party's tomorrow. It's tomorrow. Can you believe it? Well, it's not tomorrow for us, but it's tomorrow for you.
It's definitely for you tomorrow, good listener.
Yeah. It's crazy. We're on the eve of Rip Party already. The 3 of us have been probably pretty consumed by this live stream event for months. We've tested it up and down, left and right, top to bottom. So please, everyone, say a quick prayer for us, if you can, that it goes off without a hitch. And if it doesn't, if it, it's a disaster, well, then it's just another classic Gong Show moment, right? So I guess we can't lose either way. If you haven't heard at this point, Rip Party is our live stream event happening tomorrow, Friday, November 8th, where we'll be coming to you live from the Chateau Gong Show in beautiful Toronto, Canada. Rip Party is an event really for hockey hobbyists that couldn't make it to the Fall Expo, or maybe are too tired to leave their hotel rooms after a long day of wheeling and dealing on the show floor. We have a number of friends that are and special guests that are coming to the Chateau to rip what we think are amazing, awesome, interesting boxes. Some spendy ones too. Some people are bringing the heat. And we're also going to be giving away a motherload of crazy, awesome, and fun hockey card boxes too. The support and generosity of the hobby, businesses, and even collectors has been truly overwhelming. We've talked about this a lot. My heart is full, boys, and Rip Party hasn't even happened yet. So, I'm looking forward to a great night. Do not miss this, folks. Tomorrow, Friday night, November 8th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on the Hockey Cards Gongshow YouTube channel. And it should be a blast.
Agreed.
You guys excited? How are we feeling?
I'm super.
Phil got so excited that his
Friday morning and buy all the boxes we opened this morning.
You froze, Phil.
We're in Toronto, right?
Phil, you're frozen.
It's a joke. We didn't actually open the boxes. Wait,
Phil.
Is everyone frozen?
No, just you.
Just you.
Oh.
Now you're back. Okay. You got potato internet again? Is there another storm? Is there like a Senators game where all the internet's gone out?
No, I'm uploading at 500. I can upload in 500 megs and download 500 megs up. I have top tier right in the PC. No Wi-Fi here. Yeah. Weird.
So nobody heard how excited it wasn't a nipple incident again. So thank God for that. But do you want to maybe give the condensed version of your excitement, or?
I made a bad joke saying that we have to go out tomorrow morning, Friday, and buy all the boxes of the boxes we opened this morning.
Oh,
yeah.
That would be bad.
That would be bad. Yes.
Okay. So again, Rip Party tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Hockey Cards Gongshow YouTube. I do want to give, because this is not a normal episode, a special thank you to our sponsors. Just to shout out really quickly, Fanatics Collect, Slab Sharks, and Mint Inc. These are all great hobby businesses that believe in what we're doing here at the Gong Show and see the value of the hockey hobby having a weekly show like ours, and they support us. And so that's a great thing. So if you're not at the expo this week, head to fanaticscollect.com. Check out the November premiere auction that starts today. If you're in Toronto with us, Hockey Card Heaven, come see us at the Slab Sharks recording studio, booth 1615.
Josh,
And
stop. We'll start.
I do want to take a quick second to give a special thanks to our sponsors. Of course, this is not a typical Gong Show episode, and so I want to shout out really quickly Fanatics Collect, Slab Sharks, and Mint Inc. These are all great hobby businesses that believe in what we are doing here at the Gong Show and see the value of having a weekly show for the hockey hobby. So if you're not at the expo this week, we encourage you to head to fanaticscollect.com, check out the November premiere auction. They have the weekly auction, the buy now marketplace as well. And if you're in Toronto with us, in Hockey Card Heaven, as we like to call it, come see us at the Slab Sharks recording studio, booth 1615. Maybe drop off some of your cards with Slab Sharks too for one of their upcoming weekly eBay auctions. Be a good time to do that in person. And then finally, our good friends at Mint Inc. guys, we're lucky enough, they're going to be right by us in booth 2010, I think just behind our booth, something like that. And be sure to go there and get some of your hobby boxes for the Upper Deck Wrapper Redemption program and maybe singles and stuff that they're selling there as well. You know, Johnny, they'll have tons going on. They also have the trade night Saturday night at the expo, which will be there as well. So thank you guys. Thank you to those companies. We could not do this show without them. And so we're just very, very appreciative. Lastly, before we get started, is our reminder that our show, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast, is a Patreon podcast. That means we rely on the support of listeners like yourself to help us cover our show expenses, produce more and hopefully better hockey card content, and fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey hobby, like
Rip Party.
Stuff like that. It's very easy to support us. You can do it for as little as $5 a month. Become one of our out of $199 support level tier. Join that via Patreon. It's very easy to do. Go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com. Click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, or go to the Patreon website, patreon.com. Search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in the show description in both the podcast apps and on YouTube, and then finally in our Instagram and TikTok profiles as well. Now, we've been crazy busy. And this hurts me because we missed somebody and noticed this the other day, and so I want to make a very special an apology. A week and a half ago, we had a new patron join, Chinner's Cards. Thank you so much. Sorry we missed you. It was not intentional. Your support means the world to us, and so welcome to the crew.
Yep.
Happy to have you.
One of us.
One of us.
Fancy dancy game plan here for YouTube, so let's try her out.
I haven't switched it up since you saw it last.
Ooh.
So it's nice and sweet, short and sweet though this time. So here we go with the Gong Show game plan.
Nice.
First interview up is Russ Cohen with an early season NHL storylines you need to know. Following that, we have an interview with Ben Barry, who will be unpacking ePack and letting you know everything you need to know. And if you're like me, confused you even more.
Got a pen
I
and
was
paper.
lost. I was still lost.
It was good. It was great.
It was good.
Yeah.
It was so much information that I was just like, I can't believe how much stuff you can do.
Ben's
You
coming.
might need
back.
to watch it 7 times with ads on. That's okay.
Maybe.
All right, let's get right to it, guys. So Russ Cohen is an NHL insider. He's a draft expert and writer for Sportsology. You can catch him on NHL Sirius XM Radio, read his work on NHLDraftBuzz.com, or listen to him on the Off the Post podcast. Geez, he does more stuff than we do. It's crazy. We wanted to have Russ on again now that we're a few weeks, almost a month into the the start of the 2025 season, to get his perspective on the key NHL storylines up to this point that are impacting the hockey hobby. We hope, I guess with that, we hope you enjoy our conversation with Russ Cohen now. Well, we're very pleased to welcome Russ Cohen back to the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast. It's been a month and a half since you were on helping us preview the season. And now, Russ, somehow we're like a month into the season. How did that happen?
I don't know. It's just like a time warp. But hey, great to be back.
Yeah, so somebody told me once that life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes. And I feel like as I get older, that
Close
time
with
just
toilet
like,
paper, you get more sheets on some than others.
yeah, true, true. We could take this analogy in many ways. Okay, so here's my first question for you. Now, like I just said, we're about a month into the season. I want on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the start of the 2024-25 season so far from like an entertainment or intrigue perspective? How's the season shaping up for you?
I'd say about an 8 because there's a lot of unexpected things happening. There's a lot of teams that are near the bottom. Some you would expect, some you wouldn't expect. And so, yeah, I think there's some good unexpected things happening. When that happens, generally there's more parity and, more
Mhm.
fans are usually happy with the parity.
So in your mind, what's the biggest storyline so far?
Biggest storyline so far, I guess it's Alex Ovechkin because he's starting to score again. Last year, we didn't really see that. He never really got on track. Now it looks like he's on track. So what does he have, 35, 34 more to go?
Yeah.
What I find ironic about the whole thing is it'll be great if he does it. I never count anything until it's done. That's just how I am. But
Yeah.
if he does it, it'll be great. But like Wayne Gretzky wasn't a goal scorer. He was
Yeah.
he was not a shoot first guy, but he just happened to have him, that many goals.
Yeah, what I've found interesting, because I was thinking about the whole OV chase this morning, and we're kind of at this point, and you guys can, Phil and Russ, you can disagree with me if you think I'm off base here, but I kind of feel like if OV goes like 4 games without a goal, that the narrative is he's old, he's out of shape, it's over. And
I
then
don't
all of
think
a sudden
this
he
year.
goes on.
Last year that happened.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I kind of felt it a little bit because it took him, what, 3 or 4 games to get going. And isn't he
Mhm.
traditionally a slow starter, anyways?
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
not to the degree that it's been the last couple of years.
Do you think he'll do it, Russ?
It
I'll
looks
go.
like it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't
it
think
looks
so.
like it, but at that age, you can get hurt any time, right? So it's like, but I'm going to say it looks like it. Yeah.
But when the drop off is quick, you can turn the switch off. You can't turn it back on easily, right?
Right. Well, and again, it looked like it might have been happening last year, and then he was a little banged up to start this year. But right now he's going good. But you're right. I mean, by game 15, that could change, and if it does, then he'll have to come back another year. But it looks like it could happen this year. I still think it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, would that be the most goals ever by a
Ever.
guy his age this year if he did it?
No, not for a guy his age. Gordie Howe would have him beat for that. But it
Okay.
would be for the most goals ever. But again, like I'm a proponent. The NHL probably doesn't like this, but just like with Major League Baseball, they've included the Negro Leagues and everything. I think the NHL should include the WHA. They should stop all this nonsense because not to make it harder on Ovi, but honestly, Gordie Howe would have the most goals. And
Yeah.
that would be just because it wasn't like he was scoring against nobodies in the WHA. There were some really good players there. And those goals just didn't count for him. And except on his total, but like it just seems unfair.
Yeah.
You rarely hear that argument as well. Good that you brought that up. I haven't heard that in years.
Where
I'm
does
always
Ovi kind of
that's
fit in the pantheon of NHL greats? If and when he gets the record, does it change anything at that point? Does it elevate his status? Because I think people in the hobby, some people are spending money right now on his
yeah.
cards, assuming that that's going to happen.
Yeah, I've sold his rookie twice already. So,
Mm.
but it didn't, it wasn't like I didn't think he could do it. It just, I had
Yeah.
too many cards anyhow. But I think in the Pantheon, he would be a top 15 player probably all time.
Okay.
Was your
Kind of in
card
that, like,
graded? Was it
No,
graded?
I don't grade anything. I have a few graded cards, but I don't grade anything otherwise. I just
Got
don't
it.
do it.
besides Ovi, what else have you been following, or what else have you found intriguing at the start of the season here?
Sidney Crosby at his age, I think, what is he, 37?
Mm-hmm.
Playing the way he does, I haven't seen any drop off from this guy. He's still the best player on his team. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
Will they make
yeah,
the playoffs though?
probably not, but, and I do think he's a little better than Ovechkin. Like, just all around, he's a little better. But these two playing in the same era is tremendous.
Yeah. I think it's crazy that he took 8.7 million again for
Yeah.
his. I wonder what the NHLPA thinks about that. They can't love that, huh?
I don't think they care only because at this point, like he's made so much money for the league and for everybody else and for himself. So he wants to have a little fun with his contract. I don't think they were mad at him. I think they put pressure on Shesterkin to get the most he can as a goalie because as you saw, goalie prices rose this year, and I think the PA had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of curious. We're actually not too far from Four Nations, sort of the inaugural event there. Do you see that being a success? How do you think fans are going to react to it? Is it a risk on the NHL's part, or do you kind of see it more as a slam dunk? Like people are gonna love it.
I don't think it's a risk unless all of a sudden players start dropping like flies. I don't think that will be a risk. I think it's more or less a slam dunk in the sense that, look, would it be better if there were more countries? Sure.
Yeah.
Russia's not getting in anything anytime soon, and I think it's a shame for the kids because they get kind of caught up in that, and and then eventually the players, but really the kids that starts in World Juniors, you feel bad that they don't get to compete. Beyond that, like someone like Mitchkov that we're seeing now, like he didn't get to do any of that, right? So, that's a shame. But in the end, I think it'll be a good tournament, and I do think that, especially in Europe, it will be tremendously received, just because there's Europeans that like the Olympics better than the NHL, and I get why, because they all have their own leagues, the SHL and such. So this will bring out a lot of national pride, and Finland's got a lot of great players. So if Finland were to win, hey, that would be like a big thing overseas, huge.
Besides Russia, who's the biggest snub from a country standpoint?
There's a lot. I mean, we're only talking four. Like, Czechia has a lot of great players. There's a lot. I mean, we could go through a whole list.
If Russia was playing, do you think they would be a contender?
I think they'd have the best goalies. I think they would have some of the best forwards. So yeah, they'd be a contender.
Mm-hmm. What's going on in Boston? It seems like it's a dumpster fire right there right now.
It's not a dumpster fire. Like they just came through town, and I think Montgomery is just like slightly upset with his team, but I think they're starting to play better. They just got back-to-back shutouts, and that's good for them with Korpisalo and Swayman because that's going to help Swayman get the pressure off of him with that big contract. So I think they're starting to figure it out. Look, they're not the same that they were without Dries Bergeron, that just, and Chara and all those guys. It's not the same, but I think Lindholm has a lot of pressure on him, and he hasn't really been the same for like 3 or 4 years yet. He got a pretty good chunk of change, so I think he's feeling that, and I think there's still some settling that the team has to do.
Yeah, and when I say like dumpster fire, I'm not even talking as much the on ice performance as just like I don't know if it's like management philosophy or culture. It seems like it's one thing after another. Where you even going back to the trade deadline with Linus Ullmark, and then you have the whole Swayman situation going back to his arbitration, and then all through the summer. Now we have dust ups between the coach, Montgomery and Pasternak, and Montgomery and Marchand. Do they not see like what that kind of says about their, I don't know what you call it, chemistry or culture or?
Yeah, I think you call it chemistry. Look, Marchand's got a temper, and he said all the right things that Montgomery was right. Pasternak, I think, just hasn't played the way he wants to play, so he gets benched. It's no different than John Tortorella, what Jim Montgomery's doing. So I don't think it's anything over the top. I think this is just him trying to say, listen, if you play like this, you're going to get me fired. I'm going to do everything I can to not get fired.
We have a lot of Boston fans like in our Discord community, and it's been a pretty rough couple of weeks for them.
Yeah.
And a lot of hand wringing there. Do you see these problems lingering, or do you think that that they'll come around?
No, I think they'll come around to some degree. They'll always own the Leafs, so those people should always be happy about that. Beyond that, though, I think they're a contender to some degree. I don't think they're a huge cup contender. I think they will gel better than they have been. I think the goaltending is just starting to kick in, and so that their defense is still pretty deep. They're lacking some scoring. There's just no question about that.
Now, my Minnesota Wild and Louis' Minnesota Wild, Are we for real, or is this just the annual get your hopes up before the hard and depressing crash?
Yeah, there have been so many years that I probably overpicked with the Wild, sort of like the Sharks. I was guilty of that with them once in a while. I don't think it's like I think it's for real because I think Bill Guerin has really done a nice job with the dead cap space. Everybody said, "Oh, they're not going to be any good. It's going to take a while after that," and he didn't take that lightly. He was just like, "No, we're gonna push through here." I think he's done a good job. I think that goaltending is set. I mean, you're talking about Fleury on his last year, who still looks pretty good. You have Gustafson and Wallstedt, maybe the best goalie not in the NHL. So you have that. Kaprizov, you're not going to have for much longer. He's going to end up going to the Chicago Blackhawks, I think.
What?
Yeah.
You really think that?
Yeah, I hear murmurs. Yeah.
Really? Why the Blackhawks to play with Bedard or?
No, some guys just same as Panarin always wanted to play for the Rangers. I've heard Kaprizov has always wanted to play for the Blackhawks. So I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard.
Josh, you okay?
No.
Yeah, Russ, you're crushing my boy over here.
I'm not trying to.
I know.
It's easy, isn't it? I know it's easy.
I'll give you a Marion Gaborik card if it makes you feel better.
I can't believe you just said that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I hear the murmurs with that. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But I really don't think he's staying there.
What's Kaprizov's contract?
And it's not the team's fault. I think he just wants to go elsewhere. I think
you think that they would keep Zuccarello and even if he's on one leg or something like that, because him and Zooks are very, very tight.
Yeah, I mean, Zuccarello is an interesting guy because you can never count him out. I don't think he would follow Kaprizov, so I do think he would stay there if they want him. He's pretty loyal. He was loyal to the Rangers, and so I think Matt Zuccarello is pretty loyal. But I think the Wild are good. I mean, you got a game-winning goal out of Boldy. He started off slow, but I think he will pick up. I think they're a playoff team if Spurgeon stays healthy. That's the big if, because it seems like when he goes out, then they really start to have trouble. But so far so good.
Can you talk about Brady Tkachuk getting traded to the Rangers just to make me feel better? Because
no, we're still on Kaprizov. Yeah,
he's ridiculous. He's going to go to St. Louis.
He's not going anywhere. What are you talking about,
dude? He's going to St. Louis. Sorry, Phil.
Why would he go to St. Louis? Where's the logic?
He was born there. Because his dad has always envisioned one of the brothers playing there, and Matthew has the long-term contract in Florida, so it's logical that he would go there at some point.
Just because Papa Walt played there. Literally, that's it. So what if he wins a cup in Ottawa? He'll probably just go.
Okay, I mean, have you been to the edible place lately? They're not winning a cup. They're a better team. I said that they're going to be a playoff team, and I like what they've done.
Nice.
But they're not winning a cup.
Okay, can we go back to Kaprizov for a sec? So if he went to Chicago, what do you think? What's Kaprizov's contract right now? Do we know?
I think he's got one more year after this.
One more year.
So it won't. So it'll be a trade deadline, or he'll just play it out.
I mean, it depends how Minnesota wants to play it.
Yeah.
If they know he's not going to stay there, then I expect Guerin to trade him.
Be a big trade.
Well, Craig Leopold has come out and said, the owner of the Wild, Phil, that they will pay more than anybody for term.
I don't think it matters.
Oh,
man.
When a guy doesn't, when a guy has his mind set like, hey, this is the team I've always kind of wanted to play for. This is the same thing with Panarin in Chicago. Like, Panarin left a good team, but he didn't want to be there anymore. Yeah. He went there. He was drafted there. He was appreciative, but he had sights on going to New York. So, he went to New York.
All right.
I feel like they need, antidepressants or something like that.
Josh, I could be wrong, but the Tkachuk thing, that's just a guess, too. But a lot of us have felt that one of those brothers would end up in St. Louis. So, it would not shock me.
No, and Keith probably has a lot of pull with his boys. He looks like he closes the door, and what happens in his home stays in his home kind of guy.
Yeah.
I live in Ottawa. I was here when Brady was drafted. He loves it. It wouldn't be shocking, but it'd be shocking.
No, I mean, he does love it. I mean, there's no question, but he is pretty outspoken about the team not really, especially this year.
Agreed.
And if things don't get better real soon, you can see why that could happen.
Well, 6-5. I mean, not bad. Anyways, we'll see. November's a huge month, right? All the chips kind of fall in November. We'll see what happens.
Is that how you look at it too, Russ? Like you look maybe at the end of November to look at the standings and get a good place as to what the teams kind of are, what they are at that point,
No, I
or
think you have to wait for Rideau Canal to freeze over and then see where they're at.
For
I
1
think
week.
I
Then it
think at
melts.
that point, you see where they're at, and then, if it's bad, then you just go skating on it. I've not skated on it yet, and I've been to Ottawa 3-4 times, but I'd love to.
It's only opened once in the last 2 years, I think.
Yeah,
2 years
because
ago, it didn't
of
even
the
open.
weather. Yeah.
yeah.
It used to be all the time. I think I missed my window on that.
I used to shovel snow every day. Last year, I went out twice, maybe 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
For Ottawa, that's nuts.
Yeah. Probably get dumped on this year, though. 500 centimeters all season. I'll be out every day. Yeah.
One of the things that you specialize in, and you do a lot of work with the draft and prospects, and so want to spend, I think, the majority of our conversation there. So when you look at sort of the rookies that have debuted or called their eligible guys so far this year, who's impressed you?
Logan Stankoven, we got a little glimpse of last year, and he was the guy that I picked to win this year, simply because he had that little edge where he's already had a little bit of action, playoff action too. He also plays on a very good team, so that's always a big thing with the rookies. I mean, Celebrini's coming back tomorrow night. He's certainly he'll be deep into the race, but he's going to have to play catch up like Bedard did, and I think he will. I think a big key for him is if Will Smith keeps doing a little better, those two with Eklund's having a real good year. That could really help him point wise. He's going to have some of his teammates kind of help him out. He could do a certain amount alone. So his missed time is not going to be great this year, because then there's Matvei Michkov with Philly. And, he started off like a house on fire. Now he's starting to learn the Torts way. Torts is all of a sudden clamping down defensively. So, now it's gotten a little tougher. He hasn't scored in 4 games. So that's going to take a little time for him to course correct. But he's going to be in it because he's got tremendous vision. He has the most goals, even though he's not technically a goal scorer, but he can score goals, no doubt. So it's kind of interesting. I think, right now, I think it is between Celebrini, Stankoven, and Michkov. You have Lane Hudson. He's got 7 points, playing 22 minutes a night. For for a youngster, that's a lot. And compared to, people who didn't even think he was going to play in the league because he was too small. So, clearly they're wrong about that. And so he's become a big part of the Canadians, but the problem is the Canadians aren't that good. So, that doesn't help for him. You have
on Lane Hudson, real quick. He's been a big topic of hobby conversation because Upper Deck Series 1 came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
he was by far the biggest young guns chase. It was Stankoven, him, Cutter Gauthier, Josh Doan were probably the Frank Nazar, Jesper Wallstedt, some of the bigger young guns.
Nazar just got Player of the Month in the AHL, so that's good.
Yeah, and somebody spent $13,000 US on the Lane Hudson 101. Young guns, it's a Montreal thing, they get very excited, of course, about their rookies. Where do you stand on Hudson though, just from a long term, what do you think his upside is?
Well, I think his upside is being like a 65, 70 point defenseman. Tremendous. I mean, you could see the moves he has and just his stick handling ability and everything else. It's a cut above. So as long as he could stay healthy, and he's gotten a lot stronger over the years. I saw him. I went to World Junior Camp last year and was amazed at how much stronger and thicker he got. There's only so much more he could do with that, but his speed and his elusiveness.
Wait a minute, he was smaller at one point.
Smaller, yeah, sure, yeah. He was.
Josh met him, and he said he looked like.
Oh, right, I was right there with Russ. I couldn't believe.
No, but I mean,
how small he was.
He was like 155 probably at the draft. So yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. Now, as far as spending $13,000 on a card, that's not my game. If I got a card and it turned into a $13,000 card, hey, great. Would I spend $13,000 hoping that he becomes a Hall of Famer? That's a big hope. I wouldn't invest that heavily. I would invest enough that I would get cards and I'd hold on to them, but I would never invest that heavy on them.
Now, I want to circle back a little bit too to Dallas and Stankoven. So we were talking about them on our last show a little bit, and we were looking through like daily face-off and their line combinations, and it's kind of insane when you have Wyatt Johnston and Jason Robertson on your third line.
Well, they would be higher, but they've been struggling.
Yeah.
Johnston, this is the first time Johnston struggled, and sometimes when a young player has this meteoric rise into the league, there is sometimes where they take a little bit of a step back. Robertson, just for some reason, I thought he was getting better about a week or two ago. It seemed like he was starting to do some scoring. I'm not worried about Robertson, but they do have a load of talent on that team. So,
Yeah.
it's not completely shocking, but both of them won't stay there the whole year.
Are you high on Maverick Bork as a prospect?
Yeah, I like him. I like his skating, his stick handling. He's 5'10", so he is going to have to get stronger. And I think just like Conazeri and in Calgary, I think there's similar attributes there. But if you notice, Calgary took a while to really get Zeri into the league, and I think they waited the right amount of time because these guys do sort of have to get stronger. They do have to figure out how to be a little bit elusive and let their game kind of come to them, to use a cliche. And I think Bork has talent, so I think he'll make it. I don't know if he'll be like a guaranteed 10-year guy, but he'll make it.
And then before Backlund got hurt, what did you think those first few games of his? I know he scored a goal in his first game, I think, or something like that, or two, was it, or something? Yeah, he had a really decent start production wise, but just his overall play, did you think he belonged in the league and was able to assert his will offensively, that sort of stuff?
Wait, my mind went to Michael Backlund. Who are you talking about? Because I know he just had his 1,000.
No, Macklin Celebrini. Sorry.
Oh, Macklin. Okay,
yeah.
I heard. Okay, no, Macklin was doing fine. Yeah, I think he was on a good run there. I felt like the early going, his shot was there. I think people were surprised who didn't really know him, how he was able to, produce a little bit at the NHL level. And, and then things got off track for him a little bit. He did, he doesn't have a lot of points, but he did get that first goal while he was hurt. And I thought that was something interesting. And then he got hurt. But I think it was everything else that I think people were impressed with, that they knew that points would come.
Are there any rookies or Calder eligible rookies that you're a little bit concerned about based on the first month, or, maybe haven't got off to the start you thought they might?
I mean, there's nobody I'm really concerned about. I would just be, worried that, hey, if Celebrini has another injury, that could take him out of the Calder. I would say I'm concerned about that. Just because if it seems like it's a knee or something and it acts up again, he's probably never had knee surgery. If he had to get something like that or something that will require surgery, that'd probably take him out of the Calder. So, but as far as slow starts, no. I mean, I'm a little concerned that Michkov hasn't scored in 4, but I know why he hasn't scored in 4. So, I think, that becomes like 7, 8, 9 games, then I'll worry a little more. But no, I'm pretty good. There's other guys, Siplikov with the Islanders. I watched him intently preseason. I liked him. He's got like 7 points in 12 games. At least that's what my notes say. And he looks good. He's got good speed. The Islanders are offensively challenged, as you know. So he's, coming from the KHL. And so he has pro experience, and that's going to, help him. And I think he's been a nice surprise. Victor Mancini with the Rangers, defenseman's been a nice surprise. He doesn't play every game. He's played like 9 games, has 4 points, but he plays 15 minutes. So the fact that he's playing 15 minutes as a rookie on that team, a very, a top contending team, it's different than Hudson playing 22 because he has to play 22 because the Canadians aren't that deep on defense, right? So I think Mancini's looked pretty good too. It's a good crop. It is. And then, Dustin Wolf, he's done really well. And
I've seen that. It may be a little bit up and down, but it seems like every NHL goal is like that now.
But I don't know how many wins he has because I haven't looked lately, but I know he's been responsible for a fair amount. And sometimes goalies can win the award too. So I think he's in it. It's him and Vladar playing, so he's going to get a lot of playing time now that Markstrom's gone.
For sure. What about Cutter Gauthier? No goals so far in 11 games. Does
it
assist though?
Yeah,
Okay.
it happens. I think he's going to have to figure it out. I know he had a lot of shots one game, like 11 or something, and he just was missing.
Wow.
He just couldn't get it in. I think once they start to come, they'll come. But
Mhm.
yeah, he's looking, he's adjusting. I'm not worried about him. I'm not.
Yeah. The how much, like, when you look at, of course, the worst teams typically get the highest draft choices, right? And so
Yeah.
you've got a lot of these key hobby guys on Anaheim and on in San Jose, of course. Then you've got even Bedard in year 2 in Chicago. How much does their team situation factor into their ability to have success right now?
Well, it definitely factors in. Um, the guy still has to kind of do it. But if it's a, oh, you know what? Wolf's not a rookie anymore. He's played too many games. I was
Okay.
kind of struggling that one in my head. Um, but getting back to it, yeah, I think the team has something to do with it. But as you saw with Bedard, it really didn't hold him back from scoring last year. I don't think it holds him back too much. I think it's just, hey, if they're on a better team, it's just more of a leg up.
Yeah.
That's all. I don't think it's ever like detrimental to the point where they just can't get things going. They're usually good enough that they can, but I think you can just have an edge by playing for a better team.
hmm There's a couple like younger, not rookies, but still younger prospect guys that I wanted to ask you about.
Uh-huh.
One of them is Connor McMichael. He has a little bit
Yeah.
of a hobby cult following. Like, we keep hearing for a couple years now, wait for this kid, wait for this
Yeah.
kid. And obviously he's played pretty well this year so far. What do you see as his upside? Is he a legit kind of
It's good.
scoring
Yeah, I
threat?
see him as a second line center. I felt like the last couple of years he was close to making it. A lot of times the Capitals do over marinate and are correct in doing that. And I think the fact that they have sort of like worked him in and not given him too much responsibility the last couple of years, but now it looks like he's ready. He's also gotten stronger. His speed was always good. His hockey IQ was always really, really good. So yeah, I think he's worthy of investing in him. I like him.
Another guy I've heard a lot about that a lot of people follow is William Eklund.
Yeah.
And going back to San Jose, another kind of smaller guy, but where do you see him? Is he can he have a solid NHL career, or what's his
Yeah. Oh
upside?
yeah. He could be a top liner, if not a second liner. He's having a good year this year. Uh, I don't know. I think last time I looked, he had something like 7, 8 points, something in that range. I like him. He's got a great shot. He's smart. He could score on the power play. So no, he's going to have a nice career.
hmm Oh, there's another rookie question I want to ask you, so I'm going to go
Uh-huh.
back to that real quick. So you're a GM of an expansion team,
Uh-huh.
and you get to pick one of the Calder eligible rookies to start your team with. Who are you taking?
Matvey Michkov,
Okay, why?
because he will be not a superstar, but like a very good star in the league. He'll be a guy that could score 85 to 90 points when things hit right for him. He's just got this great vision and just a feel for the game, and he exhausts himself on every shift. Like, this guy is just go go go, and he makes his line mates better. The problem is the Flyers sometimes, those guys aren't up to the challenge that he is. Sometimes I think he sees things, tries to set him up, and then they can't put it in. So as the Flyers get better, it's going to help him, and so I do think he'd be the guy to take.
There's a couple like similarities there. When I remember when Kaprizov first got to the Wild, and I felt like he lost 20 assists a year because the puck would end up on a teammate's stick and they weren't expecting it, and
Yeah,
they would basically blow the scoring chance there. Is Michkov a Philly guy? Have the fans bought
yeah,
into
they
him?
love him,
Are
man.
they?
He likes it. Like he likes all the adulation. He loves when people wear his jersey. He's a little bit of a showman. I, I had said that he's pretty close to Kaprizov. I think that's where
Wow.
his ceiling is too. So that's he reminds me of him sometimes, with the way he handles the puck and can find these openings, especially when he's passing it. So yeah, I do think he's pretty close to that level.
Does he have the right
Not
temperament
yet,
to
he will
play
be.
to play in Philadelphia? Like, to handle the pressure of the market?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think there was a certain amount of pressure on him in the KHL, to be honest, just because they kind of
Yeah.
dubbed him a star. And I feel like he got a chip on his shoulder from that draft because he probably felt like he should have been drafted higher. So, yeah, I think he's going to produce.
Obviously, McDavid got hurt for the Oilers. And in a weird way, do you think that could help the team a little bit in having to sort of survive without him and people
It
step up their
seems like you
game?
could maybe remind them that they have to play a complete game again, not rely on Connor. I think there's something to that. But last year was just such a year where, it looked like they weren't going to even make the playoffs, and then they go on a run. I don't know if they can go on the same run this year. They're not as deep. They lost Broberg. They lost what's his
Holloway,
name?
Dylan Holloway,
Yeah,
right?
Dylan Holloway. They lost both of them. I don't think they were able to really fully replace them. So I think this could be, a year where they make the playoffs, but they don't get as far as they thought they would. This seems like one of the teams I thought that would make it to the Western Conference Final would be Winnipeg, and they haven't disappointed.
No, yeah, they've been really good. A player that have been following, and I think struggled a little bit last year, but seems to be rebounding. Was a 2021 hockey card rookie. We call him Cole Perfetti Mom Spaghetti. But what do you see out of him? Can
Yeah,
he
I
be
like
a scorer? Okay.
Yeah, I like him. The speed's great. His hockey IQ is tremendous, and that's really what helps him. He's got good players around him, so that's a guy that's in just the right spot, and he is starting to come through now, and he's stronger, and so yeah, I expect good things out of Prophetic.
Okay. What about like the blue chip guys? What are you seeing out of like the Austin Matthews and we talked about Pasta a little bit, like Jack Hughes, like the guys, the marquee players in the NHL. Is there anyone that that you've been very impressed with? Anyone you're concerned with at this point?
Well, I think I would say Quinn Hughes even before Jack at the moment.
Yeah.
Quinn is just unbelievable. He's breaking records every year. I went out on a limb and I wrote an article on Sportsology saying that he'd be generational. But yet, when the draft came around, I still put Noah Dobson like a spot ahead of him, and I still have him in the top 10. But I always thought he was going to be great, and he's great, man. He's maybe the smartest defenseman in the league, him or Adam Fox. But his passing ability is unbelievable. He plays 27 minutes a night. Like it's crazy, how good he is. Matthews, yeah, he's fine. I go back, so he kind of reminds me of the modern day Phil Esposito, except he's in better shape than Espo. But Espo put up a lot of goals, and Austin Matthews is going to put up a lot of goals. Especially, he's got the best deceptive shot in the league, and so, but he plays a full game now. Like his defense is really good, so he is a guy that could win the Selke one year, and that would be impressive, and just increases his credentials. So. Yeah, I've been impressed. Jack Hughes is tremendous. I think the Devils can make it to the Stanley Cup this year. They were the other team I picked to do it. I liked everybody coming back. Hamilton, Luke Hughes is, I think, back now.
Yep, he is.
Yep. They signed who they needed to sign. Bratt's really good. Heishier has even become better than I thought he would be. I mean, I know he had that early 9 goals. He's a guy worth investing in because he just keeps getting better and better. And so, Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes up the middle is pretty formidable.
Oh, yeah. I want to circle back to Vancouver real quick. I'm a huge Quinn Hughes guy too, and I'm sure you know this too, but like when you look at his pedigree, he's almost gotten better every year he's played hockey. It's incredible. Yeah. Like his production just increases every single year.
But he's super smart. Like I'll give you an example. I asked him pre-draft, if he's favoring one city or another. He goes, what I did was I studied all these cities, all these rosters, all these teams. And I decided who could draft me and looked at every possibility. And I've never heard a kid say that to me, that he put in that kind of work, but he did. So, if he's that prepared for that, just imagine how prepared he is for hockey. That's why I thought when I made him captain, it made sense.
Is there reason to be concerned about Elias Pettersson?
No, I just think I think guys are keying on him more. He's still got an amazing shot. He's always going to score in the power play. I think he does need to do better 5-on-5. And I think when Besser's in the lineup, it helps everybody. He's the one that seems to be the linchpin over there. Like when he's there and everything's going well. I mean, JT Miller, we're never going to talk about, but he's, probably the most important forward on the team. even above Pettersson, just because he does everything. But Pettersson, I still think, has better days ahead of him. But yeah, it's a little worrisome what's happened with him.
Any more questions about current players that you have, Phil? Because I have
Yes.
some. Okay, let's. Your turn.
Do they have to be current players, or can they be players from the draft?
No, they could be draft. I mean,
Oh,
I'm
good.
not
Thanks, Russ.
too heavy, but I did just write about Roger McQueen on NHLDraftBuzz.com.
Actually, I will start top down. Bedard, 12 points, I think, in 13 games. Do you think, like, obviously we know the hype is real. He's extremely talented, but I do feel he is a little bit on the tinier side. But with the interview that's just happened, how many times have we said 5'10", 5'11"? It's trending down, it seems like more. Do you think that'll benefit Bedard in the coming years and he will be the top of the heap? Like, if you just had to guess?
I do think he'll be near the top of the heap because he was always super strong and sturdy, even coming into the league, which is one reason he was able to survive that rookie season. And this guy's stronger than you think.
Yeah.
He may be, 5'10", but this guy's strong, and his edge work is tremendous. The way he skates is tremendous. So the thing that helped him in that first year, and look, I don't see every Chicago Blackhawks game, but somebody told me that they didn't really put any pressure on him to play any kind of defense last year because they know the team was going to stink. And I think that really kind of helped him gain that confidence in the league. As they become a better team, he is going to have to play more of a complete game. But I think right now, just let him go.
Okay.
I worry about his frustration level in losing.
Well, I don't think they're going to be losing forever. They have a lot of good rookies. I think they'll draft high again this year. If they were to get a guy like, Kaprizov, that would help. It's the same as when the Rangers got Panarin. Look what that did to their organization. I know.
He'll get more than, I think he got 60 points last year, Bedard?
I think 60.
He'll get more than that, I would think, this year, right? Okay.
Yeah, 75, 80.
Okay.
I think he'll be in that range.
You mentioned earlier that you believe Ottawa will make the playoffs. Do you think that put Boston out? I know that's kind of a mess right now, but if you had to crystal ball it,
I don't think it puts Boston out. I think somebody else will be out.
Okay. Do you think? How about Detroit? I feel my team.
Yeah, Detroit's not going to make it.
Really? So
fans hate me because it's like I've been saying this for now. Last year, I just said they'd be last in the division, and they weren't, but they still didn't make it. And now fans are going to hate me because it's like they don't have good enough goaltending. They're going to just miss out again. Now, if they were to get a goalie at the deadline, that could change everything, but they haven't done that. Yzerman, I'm a little worried about Steve Yzerman and his plan. It's going a little slow.
I feel like we have the better Steve, steady Steve. That's what we call him in Ottawa.
I mean, listen, there's been enough whiffs in Ottawa that I don't think, but you
open the door for someone, that's a win. That we haven't had that in 8 years, like it. It's been difficult, man.
I'm a big Jake Sanderson guy. I am. He's one of the smartest in the league.
Good skater, better than his dad, and he's heading the power play now. So Green is encouraging him to be more offensive.
Yeah, and I took a lot of heat at Elite Prospects at EP Ringside, but I'm a big Tyler Klevin guy. I believe in him.
Klevin is okay. I don't want to go too crazy here, but Klevin is really, really coming into his own. We have good management, good assistant coaching staff.
Yeah,
I'm very, very
I think
excited.
he is, and I think it's to the whenever I mention Klevin in like chat rooms and stuff for all the draft guys, they all kind of get on me, but I like him.
Don't mention it too much. I've been buying all his cards, so. So off the ends a bit, I do have some questions about the draft that happened. Is there anyone you're watching in the top maybe 10, 15? So I'm a Yakimchuk guy. He went back to Calgary Hitmen. But a lot of people in Ottawa were a little upset. I can't pronounce his first name very well, but Jerome McGinley's son.
Yeah,
he got Ottawa. A lot of folks wanted him instead of Yakimchuk. I'm happy we got Yakimchuk. How do you see that? Maybe would you have gone?
I think T.J. Ginla is going to be a tremendous player because he's already smart like his dad, and he'll get bigger like his dad did, and he'll probably be one of those wingers that gets 80 points a year, 70 points a year, something like that. But I like Yakimchuk. I thought the Flyers would take him last year. They didn't. I knew he was going to be a goal-scoring defenseman, which are hard to find. If you can get that guy that gets 15 goals off the blue line, that's a big deal. But he's also big. His thing was He's not the fastest guy, and sometimes the hockey IQ isn't the best. But I think very much like Clevin, if they work with him, and he seems to be having a good year.
Yeah, real good. Really good.
Yeah, and so that's good.
2 more players, Demidov. I have high hopes for
Demidov,
him.
like I think Demidov is better than Michkov. He's not
Really?
he's not showing that in the KHL for some reason. There's struggles or whatever, but there's some tools there that I think could even put him a little bit ahead of him over time. So we'll see, but he's tremendously talented.
It'll translate maybe better on the ice
Might
over
translate
here.
better in the NHL for him. Yeah.
And Sam Dickinson, he's someone I really liked their game last year. I'm surprised he fell out of the top 10. Just thought maybe your thoughts on Sam Dickinson.
Well, I mean, Dickinson, in the Mem Cup looked really good. Dickinson plays a lot of minutes. Dickinson's offense, how much of that's going to translate? That's kind of what I think the question is. I think they know he can play a full game. They know they can load minutes. They know he can, use his body and everything. But I don't know about his offense totally kicking in. And I think based on that may be scared off a few teams.
Okay. And last one for Josh, the Wild, Luchenko?
Yeah.
Am I saying that right? Oh, okay. Yeah. He's pretty solid. I mean, what do you think about him? I don't know too much about him, but I just want to maybe cheer Josh up a little.
Well, he's a Flyers guy, so we'll start there.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, Jet Luchenko. Yeah.
I thought
good try, Phil, but it didn't work.
I apologize.
It didn't work. He's not going to be happy. Luchenko's really, I saw him in rookie camp 6 months ago, development camp 6 months ago after the draft. And he was a little shaky. Like he was looking good, he was fast, but little decision-making issues. Puck was in. Sometimes he was in the offensive zone too early. Didn't know what to do with it. Then he came back and he looked really good. I think he should have been sent back a little sooner, but he looked okay in the NHL. Like I think there's a chance he can make it next year.
Okay.
Much stronger, fast as hell, really great shot. Probably going to beat the Wild a few times down the line.
All right, I'm done. Thank you, Russ.
I have one more current player question that I can't believe I forgot because I really wanted to ask you about him. So Dylan Guenther got off to a very hot start, and the Utah Hockey Club has been a fantastic, fun story. It seems like they're doing everything the right way. And I know he cooled down a little bit after that, but even into the summer, like you heard like people like Bedard, who I think was training with him, and people are saying like this is like a 50-goal scorer. Do you believe that? Is like kind of what you're hearing about Guenther, that he could be a top end kind of NHL goal producer?
Yeah, I think he can be. Oops. My screen went blank there for a minute. Yeah, I think he can be. I like Guenther. I liked him. I think he played with the Oil Kings. Great shot. He's got good size. I think he needed to be able to work on his defense a little and even his speed a little bit. But I think now everything's right. And this kid has a tremendous shot. And I think he will score goals. But I think your producer's right. I think they were, I think they're thinking about Ogren. And Ogren's a
I thought
Liam Ogren is he's a Swede.
Yeah, he's good. I think, most likely a third line. I think he's a center, right? Most likely third line. Could be second line, really good skater, good all-around game. I think he'll be a good NHLer. I think there's some like Eriksson Ek in him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, solid player, probably not a super big hobby guy.
I thought he was a center. He might have been a center when he first started.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I like him. I think he could play.
Well, young, tantalizing prospects is what drives this hobby, Russ. And looking ahead a little bit,
I write about him all the time. I mean,
there's a couple names that I wanted to run by you. I keep hearing more and more about, is it James Higgins? Is that how you say his last name?
Yeah, James Higgins, yeah.
Is he like the cream of the crop right now as far as looking into
I think he is. There's going to be guys that want to ding him because he's 5'10", but he's another 5'10". Like, hey, good luck catching him. Good luck containing him. He's always moving. He is always the best guy in his age group, always the best guy on his team. Tremendous shot, tremendous work ethic, terrific on faceoffs. So I think he's the real deal. And I think, he'll go first or second. Somebody might take Martone first, or maybe they'll take McQueen first or something. But I do think it's Higgins. And I think he'll be the top guy. But, and there's other guys we'll talk about during the year. But he's tremendous. I mean, I watched him at as a young guy trying out in World Junior Camp, looking great. And I've watched him a lot over the last couple of years. Interviewed him maybe like last year, early in the season. Was very impressed
Mhm.
with him. I grew up on the island, so he's a Long Island kid. So like I get those guys, and so he trains with all those good Long Island players. So Matt Coronado is another one. You didn't mention him, but he's worthy of, I think, collecting because he's a tremendously fast kid, smart kid. And I think for Calgary will put up points too. So, but no, I James Higgins is the real deal.
Another name that I've heard for a couple years now, and I think is maybe not at the top, but top 5 sort of projected type guy is, and he's on the CHL. Michael Misa. Well, what do you
Yeah,
think about his
Nisa. I
game?
mean, he's on pace for like 80 goals. I don't know if he'll get there, but a couple of years ago he was the presumptive number one, and
What
last year,
changed?
What
What
changed? He
changed?
just didn't
Yeah.
keep producing. Like people thought he'd produce. Like he was in the Mem Cup and he looked good. I felt like he played well, but he wasn't like dominating or the star. And maybe that got to him this year. So now he's really doing that and showing that. I think he's kind of lost his chance to be in first overall, but he's a top 5 guy.
Mhm.
Again, not the biggest guy. I think we're gonna have to get over that and take some chances. Not every small guy makes it. I get it. A lot of them don't. But when they're super skilled like this, it's worth it to take a chance on 'em.
We hear a lot about, because of Bedard and the cousin thing, about Gavin McKenna.
Yeah.
Is he still looking to be sort of a top end prospect?
Oh yeah. He could be the number one guy in his class. Uh, just every time I've seen him, like in the World Juniors or otherwise, this kid just skates great. Terrific shot. Love his hockey IQ. Got to just keep getting better and stronger. Yeah, he's super dangerous.
Mhm. Well, the kind of the last question I
He might
have
be in
is
the Canada Junior set. I don't know. I haven't looked at it
yeah,
lately.
yeah, probably is at this point. Kind of a big question. I think from what I last read, within the next week there'll be a big decision made by the NCAA whether
Yeah,
to vote.
it's going to go through. Yeah, so
You think it's going to
guys
go
will be
through?
able to start. Guys will be able to start joining NCAA teams next year. What's interesting about it is there are, I think I saw that there's like 64 eligible teams. So you figure when this thing's starting to really roll, and I bet you every team's going to have like 2 or 3 players now that they didn't have access to before because these guys thought they could play in the Canadian Hockey League, didn't work out for whatever reason, and then were ineligible. So there's going to be a load of guys, and especially with the transfer portal, like the
Yeah.
way that is, there's a lot of opportunity. And I think the big thing with this is it's still great to get an education. And I know there's a stipend in the CHL, so
Mhm.
they can go and get their education, but a lot of guys don't. With this, kind of forces you to, and I think it makes a lot of parents happy, even if you're only going to get 2 years and you go and finish it, after the fact. But there's a lot of good schools, and I know I was with a couple of schools, hanging out in the bars and stuff after the Fall Classic, and they're looking forward to this because there are some of the smaller schools that can really get on the map if they get a couple players. Because look, you might say, "Hey, that guy's not good enough to play in the CHL, whatever," but it depends what team he was going for. Like,
Yeah.
some of these teams are stacked. Well, that guy could be the best team on a small school, right? So that could change everything.
What I've heard about this is that it's a decision that could help the NCAA, of course, could actually help the CHL, right? Because you get guys that play maybe 15, 16, and 17
It
there,
might help
and
them to get younger guys. Yeah, they don't like to let them come in at 15 with
or
with the
yes,
exception. It doesn't
yeah, I meant
happen.
that. Yeah, I misspoke with the exception. The 16 and 17, you're right, is what I said.
Yeah,
I misspoke about exceptional status. But where
right.
this will really hurt is like the USHL and like a team like the
Yeah, the
Chicago.
USHL is going to get dinged a little bit for sure. But I do think it could get more players coming in on exceptional status. That is a way for the CHL to at least fight back and get these guys for a couple years at least. So, yeah, I mean, usually those guys, though, when they come in, they don't leave anyhow. But maybe, maybe they'll open that up just because they will be losing some of the, mid-range guys, and maybe they'll be looking to get more players in that way. We'll see. They've been reluctant in the past, but it doesn't mean it won't be that way now.
Do you think NHL general managers are excited about this? Like
Yeah, because there are a lot of times, like, I don't know, we'll use an example, and I think he's Ottawa, Gabriel Eliasson, right?
Yeah.
They didn't know what to do with him this year. Like, he finally ended up, somewhere, and he's playing well, right? He's in the OHL, right?
They didn't send him. They didn't give him a contract. I think he's just back to juniors, I believe.
Right. No, that's what I mean. So I forget what team he's playing for, but he's in the OHL. But he tried to be in college, can't be in college yet because of his grades, because they didn't all transfer over. He was kind of like in a weird spot, but I think he's finally, found a spot. So you do get guys like that, and yeah, I think it helps GMs too because they want to kind of send their guys to certain programs or certain teams that they like the coaching. He's with Barry.
No, I didn't know any of that. I didn't know.
Yeah, no, I knew he was back, but I couldn't remember what team. And he's got 30 PIMs already in 14 games. So
great, awesome. My son
likes banging and crashing. So yeah, I do think this will open up things a little more, especially might make teams take that chance 5th, 6th, 7th round on some guys that they know are going to have a longer development pattern. And because you can send them to all 4 years at school, you don't have to ever worry about the CHL guys. You got to sign quickly. You don't have a lot of time to kind of see where they're at. And as many guys as you could stash overseas in college, those guys you don't have to sign as quickly. Now you will lose occasionally. Occasionally, there'll be a guy that just won't sign with you or whatever. But for the ones that you get, it's worth it.
Well, that's fantastic information. I really look forward to talking to you every time, except we're never talking about Kaprizov again. That won't.
I have a question still.
Yeah.
Okay, Phil's got a question.
You only asked me about 100 players, so go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry. Last player, one more player, 101.
I know.
A couple, it might be 2 or 3 years ago. I went and saw an Ottawa 67s game with my son, and they were playing the Windsor Spitfires. A goalie on the Windsor Spitfires stood on his head, and his name was Joey Costanzo. And I realized that it was his rookie year, or maybe a second year, rookie year or second year. So just looking up now, a few minutes ago, that year where I saw him stand on his head, he had a 26-6 record and a 9.901 record, right? So I last year I followed him.
Right.
So 10-23 with a save percentage of 855. Fast forward to this year, 2 shutouts, save percentage of 938, 11 wins, 1 loss. Is Joey Costanzo on anybody's radar? Because how do you go from
probably he's probably on somebody's radar, somebody tied into the 67s, or maybe even the Senators are watching them. But when you're having those peaks and valleys, it's you're just going to watch, and eventually somebody might sign him to as a free agent at some point. That's probably the route they're going to go.
Is that normal?
He's not George's kid.
Is that normal?
I just want to say that for people out there, this isn't George Costanza's kid.
Yeah, it's Costanzo.
Oh, it's Costanzo. Okay.
Yeah, is it? But are these peaks and valleys with? We all know goalies take a while to develop.
Yeah, I mean, look at Carson Bjarnason. I mean, last year he wasn't great, and people in Philly were like grumbling, "What's going on?" This year he's great. Now he looks like he's the best young Canadian goalie. So yes,
just watch from a distance, see how the chips fall.
Bjarnason's obviously a little bit higher pedigree than this guy. But this guy could still make it.
Okay.
But it's going to be a long road. I mean, it's hard. There's only so many goalie jobs.
Well, thank you. I'm sorry, but we never get like smart NHL people.
Yeah, we pepper Jay.
We just think of every player we can
call
possibly
me smart
think of.
will get me to come back. It's all right.
Yeah, no, this is a lot of fun. And be sure again to read Russ's writing, especially on new prospects, on NHLDraftBuzz.com. He's on the Off the Post podcast as well. You can find him on NHL Sirius XM Radio, and then of course for the Sportsology. Boy, you're busy. You do a lot of stuff, and you're writing a book. You said too. So
writing a book, called Game Winners. Going to be the 50 best goals in NHL, the 50 best game winners in NHL history, plus the Olympics. So I just wrote a chapter about the Golden Goal with Sidney Crosby. Plus. I'm going to be we have occasional podcasts for Sportsology like we do at Jets Rehab. So we're
Yeah.
going to do that after the trade deadline, and then we'll do another one called The Game, where I do it with a former ball player, Nico Riezgo. We do about 4 or 5 of those a year, maybe a few more.
Fun.
So we get out there.
Nice. Well, we'll be sure to talk to you again soon. And again, thank you for all of your knowledge and insight. And we'll talk to you soon, Russ.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Well, we're back. I've already made an appointment to get whatever antidepressants I could possibly get in me. I'm so. I just feel like he knows what he's talking about. Of course.
Yeah, it was horrible
And
for you.
it's
Maybe one
why
time
can't-
he can be wrong. He can be wrong once.
He was wrong about San Jose. Catch that? He
Yeah.
admitted that. He was like, I was wrong
Yeah.
about San Jose. So maybe next time it'll be like, I was wrong about San Jose and Brady Tkachuk. Oh, yeah, you're upset about the other thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, why can't we have one good thing? Phil froze again. Oh no, he's back. Yeah. Intermittent freezing, Phil, going on here.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, you're cute anyway, so I guess it works. We've never had a superstar. Please. Come on. But okay, I'll get over my own butt hurtness over that. Obviously a lot of good information. The guy knows his stuff. You know, it's crazy. Anyone you ask him about, it's like, well, I've interviewed him like Thursday. And it's like, gosh, I wish I had that kind of level of insight and access into some of these players. But I think there's a lot of good information there for the James Higgins guy. For the last couple of weeks, he keeps coming up a lot. Have you heard his name percolate a little bit, Phil?
No, not too much. The McMichael, though. I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one because he's pretty good.
Well, we'll certainly have Russ on again as the season progresses. We're going to go from an NHL insider to an ePack insider. Our resident ePack enthusiast, devotee, Phil, has been screaming from the rooftops for weeks now that we have to have Ben Barry on our show.
Oh my God, get Ben Barry. Oh my God, get Ben Barry.
He didn't disappoint. He's a scholar and a gentleman.
Yeah, and now we trust you. Now that you're a diehard ePack enthusiast, and that's really your culture. Those are your people. And
I'm a visitor, and I'm welcomed by most. Some would rather me not in there, and that's fine. Can't all love everybody.
That is an awesome guy. Wealth of knowledge. He's the owner or manager, however you want to call it, of one of the larger ePack buy-sell groups on Facebook, and he kind of gets into like why those are so important in of themselves too. And because his hobby experience has been mainly through ePack, we wanted to have someone like that on the show that actually, well, first of all, knows what they're talking about for a change when it comes to ePacks. That was nice. And I really found this interview extremely informative, and not just in like the nuts and bolts of how ePack works, but why, people prefer it maybe, and kind of like, some of the unique things you can do. So with that, here's our conversation all about ePack, unpacking ePack with Ben Barry. Well, we're very pleased and excited to welcome Ben Barry to the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. So Ben has an ePack focused Facebook group called Upper Deck ePack Buy Sell Trade Community. Welcome, Ben. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so now you have an ePack group. You have one of the bigger ones. Phil kind of connected us, right? And we've had a lot of questions about ePack, and so we're excited to have you on to answer those. How did you get involved in the community side in creating a Facebook group and trying to nurture or foster other collector relationships, that people that are ePack enthusiasts?
Yeah. So to start with, I do want to state to anybody watching, listening, that I don't represent Upper Deck in any way. This is strictly a fan run group, and I have become, for lack of a better term, expert at this product. And so probably part of it is my technical background and product management. But so anyways, how did I get involved with the community side of things? I joined this Facebook group as just a member, but it was one of those Facebook groups that pre-pandemic had no administration. It was started by a college student who had no time or effort. He joined because he wanted to be able to sell his cards, which you cannot do within the confines of ePack itself. And he didn't have time to run it as a organized group. After being in there for about a year, and seeing people kind of getting ripped off and all sorts of just poor treatment. One day we all started talking about maybe there should be moderation and administration. And I said, I'll do it. And that's literally how it started. It was me, Corey Chang, and then eventually a few other of our admin. There were 3 of us initially. It started. James was the 3rd one. And then over time, we built the group up and came up with a set of rules that made it easy and safe to do, basically entirely 100% ePack, so that people weren't sending ePack cards for cards at home and people not sending them and all the stuff that you see in so many groups. So that's how I got started.
Okay. That's how you got started on the Facebook side. When did you start collecting hockey cards on ePack?
So that's a good question. So I've been running the group for 4 years now, and it was about 1.5 years before that. So it was probably 2 years before the pandemic. So what, 2019?
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
And what made you find ePack so attractive versus going to an LCS and buying a box?
Well, I think like many people in the hobby, walking into a hobby shop is bad news for my wallet. And so I have found that only collecting digitally over time, and by digitally, I mean through a digital interface, it's physical cards, and we'll make sure to get through all the misnomers about ePack in general. That I find, one, I don't have the clutter, I don't have the organization, I'm not creating as much trash. And 2, I can look at my cards anytime I want without having to, pull them out of a box or having them fill up my living room with a display. And 3, I don't have to wait for a card show to sell them or deal with eBay. I can list them in the Facebook group. If I want to move something, I can list it. And if I'm, depending on how cheap I'm willing to let it go, I can probably move it within minutes. So it's much more liquid. It's much more efficient. Built-in checklist. There's just a ton of features to the product as to why I like it.
So Ben, you said something that I love, and you used it more of in your negative column, card shows. So you would prefer to sit in the confines of your home than rubbing shoulders with a bunch of strangers, right? In general?
I love card shows. The problem is like, let's say you have a bill that comes up. We see a lot of collectors that buy stuff and then, they will spend within their budget or sometimes not. But then something comes up and the first assets they have, their most liquid assets to sell are cards. Well, you either have to go to a shop or a show where you're going to get at best 70 to 80% of comps if you're lucky.
You're pushing it at 80, yeah.
I know. And then you're also waiting until either you can get to a shop or you can get to a show, which is far less often than getting to a shop. ePack's 24 hours, Facebook's 24 hours, or relatively so. I can list a card at midnight and it's 9 o'clock in Pacific time and it's 4 p.m. in India. It's all sorts of opportunities for the liquidity of it, for the fact that you're connected with a lot more connectors than just collectors than you can run into at a local show or at your shop around the corner.
Mm-hmm. We're going to jump around, I think, as we get into various topics to the functionality of ePack. But one of the things you've already mentioned a few times that I'm even a little curious as to how it works is the buying and selling off platform.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, you can trade, but you can't really buy and sell off of ePack. So how does having a Facebook group like yours help collectors give them the ability to buy and sell the digital cards without converting them to physical?
Yeah. So just as a partial background on this, Upper Deck obviously doesn't want to deal with the, hey, somebody ripped me off and that kind of thing. So that's why that's the primary reason, as I understand it, that they don't allow sales specifically within the ePack platform. How the Facebook group helps you is you are now connected to, through a much better messaging system. One of the challenges of the ePack system is messaging is very challenging. Communication outside of the forums themselves is not great. So having the Facebook community, 1, gives you better communication. 2, it gives you a group of people that you can build trust with, especially if you have a structured system like we do, so that you can do an instant sale, take a PPFF payment or whatever, and send the trade right over immediately. You're sending your card for most likely like a digital base, or you're swapping.
Oh, I got you. So that's really like you do the transaction on a third party site, so like through PayPal Friends and Family, facilitated through your Facebook group, but then to actually exchange the card, it's like let's say I buy a card from you that's I pay $200 for it. You would I would trade you my card worth nothing essentially or a penny for that $200 and that way use the ePack platform to transfer the card.
Yep. Yep. And this was one thing that as I ran the group and, we would see the very, very, very rare cases of fraud within our group and the much more common cases of fraud in the forums or in other groups, because you can't perfectly catch everybody who's trying to get in, who's going to be a scammer, but you do your best. I reached out to Upper Deck and asked specifically, we're selling stuff, we're buying stuff. I know you guys know about it. I just want to have in writing that it's okay that we're doing this as long as it isn't happening on the ePack platform. And they said, once you own the card, we don't care what you do with it.
Oh,
okay.
So it just can't happen on their platform because they don't want to be responsible. They don't want to be sued. They don't want to deal with the customer service challenges because they've obviously got a lot of customer service things to work on already related to the product themselves. So
do you think
how many ePack, sorry, Phil, how many ePack collectors do you think buy and sell? I mean, is it what most kind of avid collectors do, or is it seen as like sort of more of a controversial thing in that community?
It's certainly not controversial anymore. Early on, there was stigma to it because they were people until we learned that Upper Deck was okay with it once we owned the cards and we're not doing it on their platform. It kind of like came out of the woods a little bit. People were less afraid of it, but it certainly was a concern because there are people who still get suspended because they are going on ePack because they're going around messaging in the platform, offering to sell cards or buy cards, and collectors who don't want to do that because there are people who just strictly want to trade, whether it's because they have a limited budget or they just prefer the trading approach, which I've seen some people with big collections who only like to trade. And they can report the comment or the message inside the ePack platform. And then depending on how Upper Deck feels about it, that person could get in trouble.
So that's a no-no when you're messaging within ePack to hit somebody up and say, hey, would you want to sell me that card? Or
yes. Yeah, you shouldn't do that. Now, granted, if you know someone and you know them well and you're like, hey, let's take this over to Facebook, that's different, but you really should avoid that on the ePack platform.
Phil, you have a question?
Yes. I forget the question, but I have a new question. So I message, I'm glad you said that, Ben, because I do that quite often. Right up until like 3 days ago, I message people on ePack constantly, not through Facebook, through your group, to try and finish my Parker's Champion set. And 1 out of 10 people respond, and it's always pleasant. But I would say I have a 90% fail rate of no messages back, and I think you just demystified why.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who will not respond or will say, I'm not doing that because I don't want to get in trouble or whatever. And Upper Deck, I think, has somewhat turned a blind eye to it more recently, or that may just be, my perception of it. But
Sure.
I certainly don't do it unless it's someone I know, where I'll be like, hey, I'm in here. I just saw you had this. I'll message you on Facebook. I want to get that one. And if it's somebody like that, I'm not doing the transaction on their site. I'm not breaking any of the rules, but I will let that person know that I'm interested in the card, and then I'll go back over to Facebook and message them there.
I haven't been suspended yet, so that's good.
Well, that's a miracle.
Yeah.
You know what is shocking to me about this? Honestly, is if I'm Upper Deck, I'm 100% creating an e-commerce engine, an ePack, and I'm charging like 2.5% transaction fee and making oodles of money, and I'm removing all fraud and risk from people. It blows my mind that they wouldn't do that.
I think there's a few things that stop them currently from doing that. One is the partnership with COMC. I think that partnership is designed to be the place where people buy and sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 90% of the sales that are ePack related still happen when the cards get transferred and then are
Sure.
sold there. Also, I do think that if they were going to go that far into the process with their website, they would look at an app. But the concern with the app is then Apple's getting into their pockets.
Yeah, it's a big problem starting in November, where Apple's going to try to take 30% of everything.
Well, it's been ongoing for a long time that they take a percentage of most things as it stands now. So if they were selling packs, people are like, "Why don't we have an app?" I said, "Do you want to pay? We're already paying too much for packs." That's my opinion. But on ePack, there is a definite difference between the retail and the ePack price on some products, and that do we want to pay 30% more for our packs just to have an app? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. Do you think most people buy and sell the digital versions of ePack cards as part of like they're chasing different achievements, or is it more people that just literally collect the digital side of it and try to keep their collection, maybe like you in ePack?
So let's take a second and talk about digital versus physical, because there is some confusion around this point, and I want to make sure we make this point clear, because this is a point you have no idea how many Facebook groups that I'm in still, because I've reduced myself to about 12 physical hockey card groups, simply because I need to keep my fingers in on new product that is going to hit physical long before it hits ePack. And also occasionally I sell stuff there that isn't selling in my group. So ePack is largely confused oftentimes with NFTs, meaning that NFTs, which are truly completely digital products. ePack is vastly physical hockey cards. The only digital pieces tend to be the base cards in the lower end to middle end sets. But the base cards in those sets can be combined in, like, you get 5 of the same player or 10 of the same player, and it converts into a special version of the base card, not available in packs in stores, only available on ePack. And so the digital versus physical, we just want to make sure that I understood your point, but I just want to make sure we called that out in this.
No, I think that was very appropriate, and I appreciate you doing that. And I'll just add to what you're saying. In the hockey world, the most common instance of this would be like the Young Guns speckled rainbow foil, which we see get very pricey. Now, Young Guns are always physical out of the gate, but you can combine 5 base Young Guns to create a silver foil, 3 silver foil Young Guns to create the speckled rainbow foil. Part of the reason that's why they go for so much, because it essentially takes 15 Connor Bedard Young Guns to make one Connor Bedard Young Guns speckled rainbow foil.
And so far there's been about a dozen of those made already. Wow. Of Bedards at $300 a pop.
Are you guys are they holding them, or have you seen any for sale yet?
I have not looked. I've not checked eBay for sales. I'm sure there probably are some listed. I haven't checked COMC either, but I know people who have built them to hold.
Do you have one, Ben?
I do not.
No,
I do not. It's interesting. One of the things that I tell people a lot is that from running the group and I'm at like 19,000 trades on my ePack account at this point, which I will tell you is
an animal.
That's a large number, but that's not close to the people who are on during, like, starting back at the McDavid year going forward. There are people who have a few years on me who have, there are people with 30,000 trades on their accounts. Ooh. But I am not a deep pockets guy. I'm at best a lower medium pockets guy. So I can chase when Ultimate comes out, and we do the big Ultimate chase, which is the best achievement chase on ePack every year on the hockey side. Mm-hmm. But I'm not a really deep pockets guy. My PC is Columbus Blue Jackets Rookies. And there's some stuff on the Marvel side that I do as well. But my hockey stuff is my Blue Jackets Rookies. So it's a pretty small PC. Good stuff, but small.
Go Kent Johnson.
Baba Louie and I are still waiting to get pockets. So lucky you guys. I do have a Bedard Speckle Rainbow Foil update I can share. So far through Card Ladder sales history, there's 4 that have sold publicly. There's 1 raw. First one sold and then there's 3 PSA 9s. So I think that's another kind of common misconception that people have as well. If I pull a Bedard on ePack, it'll be perfect. And then it'll send it to me and it's guaranteed to be a PSA 10. The same Bedard rookies that get packed out in the physical boxes, they get split up, whatever allocated amount goes to ePack, and then they ship to ComC from there. And so, yeah, of the 3 PSA graded Bedard speckled rainbow foiled young guns, all 3 are PSA 9s. There's not a PSA 10. So you're not guaranteed to get a gem mint card through eBack ever. And the last one that sold was October 18th by eBay auction for $4,351 US. So that's a PSA 9.
It's a chunk of change.
For what you said, 4,300 what?
51.
4351 divided by 15 means they got roughly 290 per young gun that they did to put it together. So
Yeah.
So not bad if they didn't pay that much, but that's one of the challenges. The speckled is that there's still a lot of collectors. This is another topic that, you know, I'm happy to go where you want to go with this. But one thing I'd like to share is that Upper Deck could stand to market the achievement cards and the speckled foils, the special cards that come out of ePack, a lot better, and they would maintain a lot more value out of it. There are a lot of achievement cards, like their special Bedard autos, that people, 99% of collectors have no clue exist. Speckled young guns, I think, only really gained popularity in the past, well, since the pandemic. Prior to that, you would see speckleds, you know, they'd go generally like about the value of about 10 young guns. And they should be closer to the 15 or more as the values go up on the players.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the other thing that Upper Deck does too, and this is where I'm get out of my depth quickly, is so they have these sort of achievements that are based on combining, and you can, it's not just young guns, you can combine, this is where you can combine a base card to get a digital only base card of, let's say, Kirill Kaprizov in 2024 or 2023 set. I could combine that to get a speckled rainbow foil version of that card, and then that card then becomes physical, and then I can transfer that card to ComC, even though it was there to begin with, right? I think that's another area, Ben, where people have a lot of, they think that when it's transferred by software interface only,
Right.
the card is only and ever and will only or will always be at ComC until it's sent to you.
Right.
So
right?
all cards on ePack, every single one, are at ComC.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They are the fulfillment partner for ePack. And so they get shipped, right? So Upper Deck prints the cards wherever they do, let's say Italy, they get shipped to probably North Carolina or whatever. Then they're sorted to be packed. They take whatever percentage that Upper Deck allocates to ePack. Let's say they say 35% or 30, or I don't know what it is. And those cards are shipped, all of them, to ComC. Upper Deck never warehouses any ePack card. They pay ComC to do it. And then with ComC, not only do they store the cards, they scan them horribly, I might add. That's my, you get like
Josh has a huge beef with this.
It's getting
well,
better.
you get a $3,000 card that looks like it was like scanned by a potato.
Because they want more money. You pay for better service. It's like internet. It's just a click on a button on someone's computer. Like, why can't you just be nice? You know?
I will say that the scan quality has generally improved over the past 18 months, and that on big dollar cards you can request a high vis scan.
But why should you have to request that? That's
because storage costs, because digital storage costs money. The higher res photo costs more money to store than a lower res photo costs to store.
So here, discussion, unless you guys know. So the cards are at North Carolina. They're ready to be shipped wherever. Yeah. They're ready to be shipped to ComC. Are they actually, did they put them in a pack and then they ship them to ComC, and then someone at ComC's opening packs and scanning them?
No. They ship them somehow but not in packs, because Phil, think of all the foil they would waste.
I know. Yeah. But then someone can see them.
But the understanding that I have, and this is not one that I have had recently reaffirmed, but this is something that I learned a while ago, but I can't verify the veracity of it. My understanding is that an independent auditor did the analysis of, for the set, they'll say, okay, here's what needs to be included to hit your hit rates. And then the random choice of, okay, there's 50 young guns in a set. To meet the 35% threshold, 15 of those, 15 young guns worth of all the high gloss needs to be on ePack. So they randomly select the ones that need to go with it so that you're hitting the hit rates, but it's random as to which players are included in
Okay.
ePack for the limited cards. But they're never packed, because you talked about, or Josh talked about the quality component. The quality component that we see on ePack is essentially the fresh off the line quality minus whatever handling happens in North Carolina or Portland when they are putting it into the system, scanning them. And it's not Portland, I'm sorry.
That's the part I want to see. That's the part my brain is gray in, and it,
Sure.
I guess we'll
I
never
don't think
see
they
it.
want you to see it, but so the point here, Phil, is like, let's say you open up a pack of 2016 or 2018 Series 1, and you got a Young Guns. That card has been at ComC since 2018, and it will forever be there until you transfer it, quote unquote, from ePack to ComC. But remember, it's already there, and then you request it to be shipped to come home. And really, the transferring is, again, a software thing that kind of gets the card into ComC's sort of fulfillment engine,
right? It
so that they can process and send it home.
Yep, it activates it within their database.
I want to see the card part. I want to see that. Like, is it a machine? Are people, like, if I worked at ComC,
there's millions of cards, and then it gets kind of wild there too, because like going back to like the silver foil and speckle rainbows, they produce those at the time the set is produced.
Yeah.
So they're pretty. So like a lot of people think too that it's like on demand thing. It's like, okay, well, I made, took 15 Young Guns and made a speckle rainbow. That, okay, Upper Deck just prints a new Young Guns. No, it was they estimate how many they need, and then they also have the problem of the 15 Young Guns that you combine to make that speckle rainbow. Now they have to burn those and essentially destroy them. I think they keep some for like QA and customer service issues, but then they actually physically destroy the rest of the
I want to see that part too. I want to see the fire. I want to see the explosion.
So
they blow them up. That's exactly what they do.
So fairly recently, about probably 2 or 3 months ago, it came to my attention that Upper Deck was soliciting requests for new features. I had put up a thread about 2 years ago, and this shows how much of this is still a hobby for me, to gather features to give to Upper Deck. I'm a product manager in my day job, so all I do is manage new features and all of that in software. And so I recognize all the growth opportunities within the product. And so we put this thread together and sent it over. And with it, I sent some questions, because I'd been told by Matt at QA and a few of the other people that if we sent some questions over, we could get them answered. I asked some pretty in-depth questions like, how does the randomization engine work? What are the challenges with, some of the things related to that? How do you, how do things get chosen for ePack versus not ePack? So a lot of the things we've talked about, and the response is very much where we will get back to you when we can. A lot of these are questions we're not going to be able to answer for you, because they want to keep the proprietary secret sauce. One thing I can say is that, just as a quick little thing, Upper Deck does these things called random acts of kindness, which are directed mostly at ePack customers for being ePack customers, because you don't get the store experience. You don't have your local guy, Bob, behind the counter that you know and you work with. So they will occasionally send out to random ePack customers tokens of affection. They send autographed Suzuki pucks or Teuvo Teravoinen giant posters that you don't want to put up on your wall. And a couple of years ago, when the Winter Classic was held at Fenway, because I live in Boston, I was given the opportunity to get a couple of tickets and go to the whole weekend.
Wow, cool.
Nice.
And met with one of the, when I was there for the tour the day before the game, was introduced to as part of the process one of the representatives from the NHL who works with the licensing with Upper Deck. And this was told to me as a fan, so I feel very comfortable sharing this publicly, that he said the NHL sees ePack as Upper Deck's killer app.
Oh,
Nice.
They see it as because it can reach all the people where they are all the time.
mhm.
And so I'm all about growing what it can do because I'm a big user of it. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's open 24/7, like you said before.
Yeah.
So I love that.
I love the random act of kindness thing too. I'm just thinking though, where do you think Phil would be on that list, Ben, after he personally insulted the president of Hubbard?
Well, it's funny because I often feel like I am not their favorite person because I push them for new things, but
Sure.
I have gotten something each of the past 3 years. So
Oh, wow.
so I often push them to, to do more for the collector. I have asked a lot of questions that are tough. I have talked about pricing publicly and all that. And again, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy who runs a Facebook group. That's just the way I look at it. And
But you're on the front lines, Ben. You are somebody. You're on the front
Well-
lines. You know what the people want, and you're kind of the middleman to someone you're asking questions to, right?
I try to fulfill that role as somebody who can, who has a lot of experience, who has some contacts, and who knows a lot about how it's being utilized today. But in the end, I'm just another collector to Upper Deck, and that's the way it should be. I don't want people in these kind of roles to have any more or less sway other than in helping to make the program better for all of the customers.
Nice.
So.
Mhm. Okay, you mentioned price a couple times, and it's very often with the exception of and we all know the reason why, with the Bedard or Series 2 from 2023-24, that I don't know what maybe you know the percentage, but ePack is typically what, 15% premium or something like that over what you'll find in an LCS. Is that a fair estimation of that?
That's probably a reasonable guess. I've certainly seen higher percentages than that on some products, but also some that are closer in line. So, that's probably a fair assumption. And the why is an interesting point too, because I have asked that question and I've not gotten an answer. Realistically, I do think that there's operating costs to the platform itself. You sell the packs. If they want to make the same profit, they have to make off the pack. If they were selling it at a store or to a wholesaler, to make that same level of profit and keep the lights on the shop, they have to charge some more probably. But at the same time, when products in retail have dropped significantly since they were released, and we're getting the product much later in many cases because
Yep.
ePack releases are often far behind retail releases. Seeing sometimes those higher prices is sometimes off-putting. I will say that for sure.
And the way it's been explained to us is a lot of Upper Deck strategy focuses around local card shops. Like
Mhm.
that's their certified diamond dealer program. That's
Yep.
kind of where they sort of begin and end, and it's a fine strategy, and I understand why they do it. One of the things that I think are protective of is not undercutting a local card shop,
Yeah.
and so they'll charge a little bit more on ePack, and then who knows like how expensive or not that ComC relationship is, and what they actually pay them for fulfillment, because that would be where it's probably got to be. I would assume it's their biggest expense as a
Yeah.
platform.
Monthly
That
storage costs, like the way that storing data on the internet, storing cards
Yep.
in a warehouse has cost to it.
Now it kind of like leads us into this whole, one of the things that we hear a lot is sort of I don't know, the tension between sort of like people that are more physical hobby only and ePack, and why should a few weeks ago the Adam Fantilli Gold Outburst 101 was pulled on ePack. A lot of people were really upset by that. How you explained it perfectly though, if Upper Deck says, well, we have 100% of the product, we're going to allocate 30% to the ePack platform, then 30% of the hits go there, with the exception of the Bedard, that's random, or where we know Bedard's is in hobby, which is why it's cheaper on ePack. But how do you feel about that? Like, how would you respond to somebody that has an experienced ePack platform that typically just goes into retail or their local card shop and then gets upset when they see the Fantilli 101 pulled on ePack?
Yeah, and I think that's it's a misunderstanding, because if you think about this, so take ePack out of the equation. The normal situation is Upper Deck makes cards, send them to wholesalers. Wholesalers send them directly to the card shops, or for some of the diamond dealers, get them directly from UD.
Yep.
The card shop, the boxes and cases are separated to all these card shops all over the world. So that Adam Fantilli card is sitting in some card shop somewhere in the world, potentially at that point.
It could be in Germany or Canada or the US.
Right. It's not your card shop. So the chance of you getting it is zero. Not in the card shop in your neighborhood, in your town, in your state, in any place you're going to go. Your opportunity with it is zero. If it's on ePack, you have the same opportunity as literally everyone else. So it actually, you have more opportunity with the ePack cards than you do with the ones that are spread out. Like, sure, everybody wanted the Fantilli one. I'm a Columbus Blue Jackets collector, a very big Columbus Blue Jackets. I actually have one of the first year, one of one gold rookie Young Guns. Not a big name, but a name.
Wow, cool.
And so I would have loved that Fantilli. And the fact that it was on my chosen platform is great. I just still didn't get it. It's no different than if it had been I literally have a card shop a 1.5 minute drive from my house. I go there 4 times a year.
You're a better man than we are.
If it was in that shop, I would have no better chance than I would on ePack. And so I think that it's folks who just say, I don't want to do that. And then they get frustrated when the cards they want are in the place that they don't want to go.
Was you and your
good? Go ahead, Phil.
Was yourself and your community a bit cheesed that Bedard 101 was specifically not on ePack, or did you understand maybe why and that put the cheese down?
Well, for me, it never bothered me at all, because I understood from the very beginning that they were going to put it in a physical box, because when the largest percentage of your customer base are the ones you want spending money, going to their stores, visiting the partners that you have in those brick and mortar shops and buying cards with the opportunity to get that one. I understood that right away. I think there are some heavy ePack users who would have liked to have seen it on the platform, but my guess is, this is just the way I think it probably is that once we move through more of that Series 2 product on ePack, we're going to find that a larger percentage of than normal of the high gloss and the out of 25 red outbursts are probably on ePack. There's probably a couple more of those that are on our platform than would be under a normal situation. Now, I'm not saying a lot. I don't want to piss people off with that. But I do think that that's probably fairly likely as sort of a counterbalance. And, you've got 50 gold Young Guns in each set now. You're not going to see more than 15 to 17 max on ePack ever. So the fact that Fantilli was on there, they're going to put a few good cards on there out of every one of these big hits, because that's the only way that the odds are fair. Otherwise,
I think it was good. I'm happy Fantilli was found on ePack. Got some awareness out.
Yep. I wish it was in my collection still, but that's
me too, Ben. Me too, buddy.
That's the way it works.
Do you think that the fact that there's cross-pollination between most products, or a lot of products, between ePack and physical, that creates just naturally problems for Upper Deck? Like, do you think the world would be better if there's just ePack exclusive products and physical products and no crossover? Or do you think that it works well kind of the way it is now?
I think you'd find a much lower adoption rate of ePack, because the big sets that people like to collect are going to be the big sets that people like to collect, whether they're at their shop or at their platform. If we didn't get Series 1 and Series 2, those two, without those, I think you'd see a lot fewer people spending money. I know of a collector right now who is working on who is only about 280 cards away from a master set on extended.
Wow.
And he's doing it. I believe it's 100% on ePack. It may be It may not be, but I believe it's 100% on ePack.
So do you think he'll keep it, or will he want it sent home?
That's a very good question.
Keep it digital?
That is going to be an expensive send home, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him about that part yet, but I think, ePack does get some exclusive cards. We do get exclusive sets. They're not sets that I think most collectors in physical are jumping up and down that they don't get.
Oh, there's one. I'm a big Fleer guy.
Yeah.
I was sad that
Ultra?
2021 Fleer Ultra was not physical as well, but it did get me on ePack a lot. And I actually thought some of the achievement cards that you could you could combine ended up being pretty cool in that set too.
There's some really both the combination cards, and so let's talk about another clarification. The combinations are not considered achievements.
Okay, good.
When you build a young gun, that's just combining to make combining. That's called foiling.
Oh, I thought that is an achievement. Okay.
The achievement cards are on, if you're in ePack and you go to if you go to the user of this site, and I have to open it up to talk about it. If you go to, I want to make sure I get this right when I'm talking about it. If you go to the collect tab in the menu, and then in there's an achievements menu. And if you click view achievements, it will pull up a full list of all of the achievements that have existed that are not completely gone. So if a given set has any achievements left, it will still show on this list. After several years, even if there's some left, they eventually shut them off because nobody's getting it. But any active achievement should be showing on the site. And then you go in there and you see, okay, this is the achievement. Here's the award card for it, the achievement card. And then you can also click on that button and it'll say progress. And it will show you all the cards you have towards that achievement, plus that blank spot that says the name of the player for the ones that you don't have. And then you can add those all to your wish list. And then it helps a lot with chasing. So the achievement, so foiling and achieving are different, but they have sort of the same outcome, that you get a special card you can't get anywhere else other than ePack.
Well, thank you for clarifying. Terminology is important, and just showing that I don't know how much of novices, I guess, we are on the platform.
It's one of those things that's really important because novices, everybody needs to learn, because that's the best thing we can all do with ourselves is learn new things. But it helps so much because I want people to not make mistakes, not overspend, get the cards that they want, and learning how things work is really useful in being smarter about how you collect on ePack.
If there were some tutorials, that would really help. I had to ask Ben how to search for a user. You know how difficult that is, Ben, to just search for a user? How many times I went on ePack 2 years ago and I'm like, you know what? Forget this. This doesn't make. Ben had to walk me through to find the right bar to search for a user. It is not lack of good grammar, user friendly all the time. So tutorials would really help, or modify the website.
There are tutorials, but they suffer from the same problem as that search capability is finding them.
Oh, it's like when I lose my glasses.
Again, on the main menu, if you go open the main menu and you go into, is it in collect? Nope, I don't even remember because I haven't done this.
See what I'm talking about? It's bonkers.
It's very, there are some tutorials. There's an FAQs page and the tutorials. If you're on the main menu, so if you click on the icon in the top right corner, I'm on the phone, so that's how I use it, but the icon on the website that shows your name with the little icon, in that screen under help, which is the very bottom set of menus, there's FAQs and tutorials. Now, the tutorials cover a lot of the basics.
Okay.
Like, how do you send a trade? How do you counter a trade? How do you cancel a trade? How do you buy packs? How do you link to COMC? It's that kind of stuff. Looks like there's about 25 things, including up to pack wars and blocking users and everything else. It's hard when you're doing, as someone who's done software for a long time, it's hard when you're doing a website or an app, because while it isn't an app, it behaves like one on the phone, to put everything where it should be in a way that makes it obvious. But there's a lot of things that could be fixed that would make this a lot better.
Definitely a better way, Ben. There's definitely a better way.
I want to get to that in a second, but I do want to circle back because we talked about, for at least me, 2021 Fleer Ultra is like a set I wish was physical, but was an ePack exclusive. From what you've learned from and what you've talked about with other ePack collectors, what's like the number one product that they wish was on ePack that isn't currently?
Oh, I'm sure if you ask by and large, it would be SP Authentic followed by the Cup. And I believe those will never appear on ePack because those are the kind of products you keep for your brick and mortar. It gives them the advantage of, keeping people.
Yeah, I get that too, because the certified diamond dealers would probably lose their minds on that. And given that those are, so now I want to peel back the onion just a tiny bit here. Given that those are, for reasons we understand, probably not going to ever be candidates, is there a likely candidate that maybe would make a little bit of sense that people wish was on ePack?
I think that so let me talk a little bit about Ultimate. So Ultimate is the premier, and I'm using that word on purpose, premier product on ePack for hockey. It is the top end, and it also has a very unusual achievement. It has the Ultimate Challenge, which is a 3+ month long sludge through the mud to earn points on each player in the set, where you are essentially choosing who you want to collect and getting as many points as possible for that player. The points are determined by the value of the cards that you have. So, for example, if you get a 1/1 shield auto for that player, it's worth 100 points. But that still doesn't guarantee you'll win that player. So you have to build a bunch of cards for that player. And then at the end, there's auto shields that are giving out big prizes for this chase. If they put Premier Hockey on the site and made that a normal achievement product and made that that would be a very popular product, something along those lines. So something else at the high end. We get all of the baseline products. We get most of the middle ground. I don't think Black Diamond, which we don't get. I don't think Artifacts. I don't think either of those are big, burners. I think something along the lines of Premier. That's really probably the main thing, is they could add another layer to the top and still have Ultimate have its very own special place. That's my favorite set on the site.
So do you participate in that Ultimate Challenge?
Yes. And this goes back to me talking about not being deep pockets. Strategy in achievements is incredibly important. Some of the achievements are just get one of every card in this subset, press the button, random wheel, you get a card. Could be great. It could be nobody, that's what happens. Ultimate is diabolical because it's super expensive. It's like $250 a pack or $299 a pack, depending on the year. And you're chasing high-end auto cards, often of the best players, in order to, win this contest. I partner with friends. I work with people I don't like. I will.
Me too.
I make spreadsheets as soon as it releases physical, and will track sales on eBay to find out cards that I don't have to worry about when the chase comes, so I can follow along and do it within my budget. I spent, hope my girlfriend never sees this, $3,000 last year on Ultimate, and I came in the top 10. And there were people who spent multiples of 10 more than that. And
wow. Okay, so you came in the top 10. Is that the best finish you've ever had?
I was one spot higher than last year. I was in the top 10 the year before. That was 2 years before. I've only done it twice, and I've been top 10 both times. And I've had good partners who help me. I've made, a lot of it is some people treat the achievements as a contest.
Yeah.
Think of it as like, you guys play video games at all?
No, but we understand them.
Yeah. So think of it as like a co-op split screen video game where you're both on the same team.
Yeah.
Only one of you can come in first, but the two of you are working together to get to this goal. So I will work with whoever is out there that can get me the cards that I'm trying to chase and help them get their cards. And at the end, hope I've made the right choices to get, enough points. And by picking the players that I pick, getting focusing on the cards, I hope that I can be successful within my budget.
So when you finish like 9th or 10th, what do you get? Like are the prizes good?
Yeah, the prizes are spectacular for that particular set. So the top 100 people this year got prizes. But it's really only the top 12 that matter. The top 12, everybody in the top 12 gets a rookie auto shield 1 of 1 of a major prospect. The top 10 also got a Gretzky dual auto hard signed out of 10.
Wow.
And then
So you got those?
I got who was it?
And what rookie did you get?
I got one of the good ones. I have to remember. It was I didn't. So the way they usually work it is the top 2 are generally preset to be randomly one of the 2 best. So like it was Caulfield and Zegras this year were the top 2, and I got who was the Winnipeg guy?
Cole Perfetti Mom Spaghetti.
Yes, that's who I got.
Nice.
So I got Perfetti as my rookie, and then I got the dual auto, and then everybody in the top 20, everybody in the top 50 got a Messier auto. And then there were some rookie sets that everybody, like if you're in the top 100 to 75, you got 2 cards. If you're in the top 50 or like the 100 to 50, you got an extra card, and then if you're 50 to 25, you got more. So basically there was a set of like Knight and non-auto, just base non-numbered but short printed rookies. So
you got, for finishing like 9th or 10th,
I got 7th
or 7th. You got the Gretzky or the Cole Perfetti Mom Spaghetti, and then you also got a Mark Messier because you're in the top 52.
Yep. So
you spent $3,000. I mean, Phil, that's more than $3,000 worth of cards, isn't it?
I try very hard, and I more than broke even again this year. This is the second year in a row where I profited on this set. And the people who invest very heavily wind up with a lot of great cards, and if they sell them, they'll do well as well. But I don't have that kind of budget. I have other hobbies. I'm into cycling and do other things like that, and so I have to be my income outcome ratio has to be in the plus in order for this to continue for me to invest in the way that I want and still have a PC, because I do
It sounds like though too that it's not just a spend your way, like that it was $3,000 plus a lot of grinding, right?
Strategy.
Tremendous. I had over 1,000 trades in this achievement alone. I think I had like 1,200.
Ben, Josh and I will throw you $1,000 each. You get 5. Let's get you to first place, and let's make some things happen. Okay.
I think. Well, what'll be interesting is this next year is one that I'm very eager to be successful in, because my assumption is that Johnson and Marchenko will both have. Because it's going to be, we are behind on Ultimate. So this was 21-22 that we just did.
When did that come out?
This spring.
Wow. Yeah, they are pretty far behind.
Yeah. So my assumption is that, and I'm just guessing, I have no information. I've heard nothing. My guess is that we will see sometime in the very late winter or early spring, the 22-23, because I cannot imagine they're going to be willing to be 2 years behind on the Bedard rookie year. And that year will be insane, because I don't think, even with my planning and practice and network, that I could be competitive at the prices that those cards are going to go for.
Silly question. Did they populate your ePack with those really cool cards for finishing top 12, or did they mail them hard?
It's all ePack, those achievements. So achievements like that one, and say the game dated moments, those will sometimes have a waiting period. So like the achievement ends, and then a couple of days later, after they've checked everything out and made sure everything was right, then they populate the cards directly into your account.
Have you ever mailed a card to your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't do a lot anymore. Like, it's probably a couple of times a year. I got some PMGs graded out of metal I got green PMGs for red PMGs for Sillinger and Chinakhov, and the green PMG for Chinakhov sent home. And I got a 9 on the Chinakhov green, which was very exciting, because that's about as good as you can ever do on those old retro. And these were the retro PMGs, so these were the good ones. And the year before that, the first year that metal came to ePack, I sent home 5 of the reds because I assume those will eventually start going back up, and they're going to be easier to sell off of ePack when they're better. So
Right on.
I want to talk kind of at the end about etiquette, and if there's for people that are new to ePack, and is there certain, like we probably mentioned one of them already, where you can't spam people through the messaging system to try to do cash deals. Are there other, for people that are just trying ePack out, are there other kind of key principles of etiquette that people should be aware of in the do's and don'ts
yeah,
realm?
the biggest one is don't send a trade you wouldn't want to receive. That's the number one thing, because what happens is people often will assume this is all digital anyway, so it's not worth anything. So what does it matter if I'm requesting a Caulfield Young Gun for a digital base? That'll just get you, blocked or 1-starred, because there's a rating system. We haven't talked about the rating system at all. It's basically the way you would expect the star system to work: 1 to 5. 5 is the highest. People generally who are very active and work hard on sending good trades will have something between a 4 and a 5, but it's impossible to keep a 5 rating because you're always going to run into somebody who's a jerk, or
Sure.
make a mistake on what you send and somebody misinterprets it. But so the number one things is try to send fair trades. Try to send trades that you think from a comps value are close. And even then, it doesn't always matter. Someone may still be upset. Ask. Don't be afraid to send a message and say, "Hey, I'm interested in this. Is this available?" Utilizing the marketplace. So instead of spamming the forum for the same cards over and over again, it is incredibly more successful, especially while chasing achievements, to go look at the marketplace, which is the search engine essentially for the app itself, and going out there and finding the cards that you want and find out who has them. Looking for people who have 2 or more of something is always a good way to start. Somebody's got doubles, they may want one of yours instead. So working your way through, and take no for an answer is probably the biggest one for me. There's stuff that I teach that's etiquette more for the Facebook group. Losing with grace is one of them, and it's essentially the same as take no for an answer. Get a lot of people that, there'll be a claim on a couple of cards, because the way my Facebook group works is that a full price claim trumps all. So if you are buying a card off of somebody's made an offer, the next person comes in and just says claim, it's their card. 2 people can claim within seconds of each other. The first one to claim gets the card. Sometimes people don't like when they lose, especially on high-end cards. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people who have very deep pockets who are very upset when they miss out on a single card. And so the 2 things I always try to teach people are lose with grace, and there's always more cards. So because you didn't get this one doesn't mean you won't get the next one. And utilizing that same type of polite and respectful approach generally will get you better results in ePack than just shooting off trades and hoping.
To jump on Ben's point here a little bit, as a donkey that did that about 1.5 years ago, I rolled, because I'm part of so many Facebook card groups. It all kind of looks the same when you're scrolling, right? So when I said, I don't remember what I said. I said, "Oh, I'll buy that full price or whatever." Ben actually swooped in and said, "You're not following the rules." I'm like, "What the heck rules are you talking about?" I didn't realize it was an ePack site. So there are rules. There are rules that people should probably go to. I did write it down. I can't find the paper, but I believe it's in the About tab on the Facebook. And I've come a long way. You got Ben explained earlier in this podcast why there are rules, why things have to be tighter than normal. And it's for the benefit of the whole community. So as someone who rolled in there like a bit of a tornado, and now I'm humbled, anyone, get out of here. If you're gonna explore Ben's great group and Corey's, he seems like a great right-hand man. He makes a lot of funny posts as well. Please check out the rules. They are important, and there's not a lot of them, and they're very, very basic, and it's just proper etiquette, and you get a lot more with honey, right, than vinegar.
Yeah.
So,
and let me add in really quick, Josh, that Corey is retired now. He is an admin, honorary admin, always will be. But I want to call out specifically that I have a fantastic team that I am largely a figurehead these days. I mean, I do a lot of work. They'll tell me that I'm full of crap for saying that, but I do a lot of work. But that team is why I can go on vacation this weekend. That team is why 99% of the things that keep humming along in that group, and that group can run itself most of the time, is because that team does a good job of doing the simple things to keep people safe and to make everything run well and stay organized.
Get 100 posts a day. I checked today. You get you average 100 posts a day.
We are competitive at a post and comment level with the largest groups on Facebook in Hockey Cards. We are easily competitive. I've checked the stats every once in a while just to make sure, you know, that we're performing at a place that people are getting the value out of being in the community. And from everything I've seen, we are competitive with much larger groups at our overall, because we're a niche. We're the right place to go. There are other groups. There's other good, even a couple of other good ePack specific groups that have some different features than we do and have tie-ins to other non-ePack groups. But I biasedly will say I think ours is the best.
And that's ePack Facebook group, or no, Upper Deck ePack, buy, sell, trade community. So my last question is this, and then Phil, I'll let you ask any final questions you have. If somebody's listening to this that maybe hasn't given ePack a shot, where should they start? Like, where would you recommend if they want to experience the platform, get to see all that it has to offer? What's the best way to go about trying it?
Well, I think first of all, you have to make an account and then open a couple of the free packs of cards, because the truly only digital gives you something to trade with, because you have to have something to go out of your account to get something into your account. And then go look at the forums. Go look at the sports forum and the entertainment forum, which is, we're not talking hockey here strictly, but some people collect both. And kind of learn what people are talking about, see what they're interested in. Take a look through the marketplace and see what cards, who do you collect that's out there? There are cards that are going to be out there that you may have never seen for your players. And so then you can start digging in and saying, okay, what do I want out of this? That's how I would start. And then I honestly would say, whether it's my Facebook group or someone else's, joining an organization, using Twitter, joining Facebook, whatever, that gives you a better chance at communication. Because as I've said, the messaging on ePack is one of the areas where it can strongly improve. And so Facebook is a terrific opportunity on top of that, because not only are you able to communicate better, but you can build trust in the people that you're dealing with, because you get to know them all the time. And there's a social component to, hey, Bob here isn't going to screw you over, because then he's going to be dead to the rest of us. So
makes sense. No, thank you. That's very good advice. Phil, anything else you want to ask before we let them go?
I've been threading most of my concerns and questions in, but I do have some, yes. So when I'm on the website, Ben, and I'm clicking the plus sign to see the further sets, and it buffers and buffers, is that a me, Phil thing, or is that an everybody thing?
So when I think that architecturally, and this is me just being a software guy, architecturally, a couple of years ago, they had their site redone. And during part of that redo, one of the things that they addressed was the fact that large trades and looking at full sets were eating up performance. I'm sure they were seeing significant performance degrades with everybody looking, as more and more sets were added to their database. Databases begin to become unwieldy as they grow. And so how they handled that was by limiting the number of cards that buffered at a given time. I believe it's 30 on most, like on the phone, I believe it limits to 30, and that trades can only contain a total of 500 cards in a given trade.
Whoa.
So that's you. Yeah. Not you. It's everybody.
I know. Okay, good. Because it is, I'm trying to be very respectful. It's it's the difference of, if I'm in a bit of a rush, I just won't go to the website. And and I don't use ePack often. I don't know how many regular users are just ripping out their no hair, but it's very, very frustrating, the delay in trying to expand, because I love shopping. Like I love shopping. I love looking at old sets. I think ePack's great for that. Second, they have almost 5,000 members to their group, Josh. I just wrote that down. So
okay.
I'm very tempted to buy a lot. I see not a lot, a lot. I see a lot of posts on Facebook on your group of, I'm out of here, 180 cards, I want XYZ for it, first come, first serve. And I'm very, very tempted because they usually seem to be a good deal, but the same 3 to 5 guys swoop in so fast. I don't even have an opportunity to just wait 10 minutes. So is that a tactic of some people? You don't know, no naming names or anything.
Yeah, no. So, there are, think about ePack and Facebook are just a microcosm of all card collecting. Go to a show, you've got several guys wandering around with fatter wallets than everybody else, and they'll make bulk offers on anything that's out there, and they'll walk up to a table and they'll say, okay, if I take these 9, what are you going to give me for them? And that's basically what it is. There are guys there are guys that are, for lack of a better term, flippers. There are guys who do this professionally as a as their job, even as part of that. And then, some of them will go out and just very quickly be looking for those lots all the time, the stuff where they're getting, they're getting it at 60 to 70%. And, no shame in that when the economy is tight or when there hasn't been a new product for a while. Those are the guys that keep liquidity in the group.
Nice.
They're the guys that are still spending money when others may not be, because they've made profit in a way that others weren't. And, I try to be very, very, very careful about balancing the need for that liquidity in the group with also, I'm really, really against people taking advantage of each other. I believe this should be a community and not just a buy sell board. That's been my want for it from the beginning. And so we've come a long, long way in that. And, we get new members all the time. And so we're constantly having to teach, like I had a post come in from a new member the other day that said, buying at 60, 85%, I'm not paying comps. I delete those immediately.
Yeah, as you should. That's ridiculous.
I don't even let them in the group for that. Like, I make sure to immediately say, not in this group. That's just not what we do. We post our cards with prices. When we're buying, we post what we're willing to pay. People can offer on each other. I mean, the whole point is you want to start the conversation so that you're both in the same range. Like, right. If you're saying I'm buying accounts, okay, you're buying accounts. Well, what size accounts? Put a price limit that you're willing to spend.
Oh, I could do that. Okay.
Because if somebody's got if they've got $500 to spend, I'm not going to go to them and say, hey, I could sell you my account, because my account's worth way, way more than $500. And so those things help each other to wind up at successful deals. Because if you're just buying accounts or buying Wyatt Johnston Young Guns, if you're not putting a price, you're not going to get anybody's attention, or you're just going to get a lot of disappointment.
So can I say $5,000? I want to get an ePack, but I don't want to buy off the platform. Buying accounts, send me what you got. That would be an example of a good post.
My budget is this. It helps, like, say, buying full accounts. People can send you a list, and they tell you, like, they'll send you their account and what they're asking for on it, and then you guys can negotiate.
Okay.
It helps if you put, like, what kind of accounts you're looking for. Like, are you looking for mostly young guns? Are you looking for, achievement pieces to get started doing some chasing? The more information you share with each other, the more successful you're going to find a match.
Okay, good. And making friends in the group helps. Like, I bug Ben all the time. Like, I don't have any friends. I just ask him, he responds right away, and it's perfect.
It's tremendously helpful, not just in understanding what's going on with ePack or a new set or whatever else, but let's say you want a card. I'll give you an example. Tuna, that's the nickname for Michael Perita, I think is his last name. He's a rookie for the Blue Jackets.
Okay.
He played in all 7 preseason games this year and was the surprise of camp. And he scored his first goal last night. But he's been playing well before. And I've been shut out on trading for a couple of Fantilli Deluxes that I've been trying to get my hands on.
Nice.
I don't have any of the numbered Fantilli rookies. But my friend Lily had the Perita Red Outburst last night. And so I made a deal with her about 15 minutes before he got his first NHL goal.
Amazing.
So making the friends out there, learning where the cards are, finding what those people want, understanding their wish list is so incredibly important when you're using ePack. Looking at wish lists, understanding what people are looking for, being willing to go make a different trade with somebody else to get a wish list card for the person you want to get your card, you have no idea how much time that saves you.
If you have 50 friends and you all have different objectives and you're all friends, everyone's going to get what they want that way.
Yep.
Right?
You can work together, and it's about, it's like I said, it's a collaborative, competitive environment.
Love it. It's good.
Phil, anything else?
I'm sure I do. No, I got
Okay.
everything. Wait. No, I'm good. Yeah, buying lots. That was my last one. I really want that. I don't want to buy packs off ePack. I just feel like they're so expensive. So that's why I wanted to buy accounts or, Ben, sending blanks. What does that mean? Could you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sending blanks it's an interesting, this is one of those things when you asked about like what's controversial. Blanks are maybe the most controversial thing on ePack.
Ooh.
Frankly, it's stupid. But
I hate when people send me those. It annoys me.
See, that's the interesting thing. So if it's done right, I think blanks can be very useful. But so sending a blank is that a trade has two sides to it. And sending a blank means that one side is blank. You cannot send your own card for somebody's nothing, but you can send a trade that is, you have identified in the a card or cards in the other person's account that you are interested in, but you don't know what they want, whether that person has no wish list or that you don't have anything from that person's wish list. So you send 5 or 6 cards or one card and say a message that says, hey, I'm interested in this. Is this available? Some people respond to that vehemently. You didn't even try to find something to send for me. Why would I look at this? No, thank you. And they get frustrated really quick with it. Other people understand that it's a tool. It's a tool to starting a conversation.
Do you like it?
I don't mind it. The challenge that I think exists is that a lot of the newbies will send blanks for things that they don't have any cards for. Like you get newbies, or you get people who are trying to stay, who are trying to be cheap, for lack of a better term, and they will either lock their good cards or have none, and they'll send you blanks for things that their entire account couldn't pay for.
Yeah, that's lazy. That's lazy hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. And so, other than massively lopsided trades, I think blanks are the things that are the most controversial and most annoying to a lot of people.
Okay, good.
But
now we know.
If you know someone, like for example, Matty Guns, who's a well-known name in the forums. He's a great guy. I've worked with him a lot. He sent me a blank today for a Wyatt Johnston Ovation rookie. And he sent a message with it saying, hey, can we work something out on this? I've been using them to get the Blue Jackets Ovations because, again, to the foiling aspect, the rookies in that set make nice foils. Wyatt Johnston is incredibly popular. I think more popular than he should be based on his production. But I've been getting 4 Blue Jackets rookies, including like Johnston and Marchenko, for one Johnston. So it's a tough one for me to give up if he doesn't have any of the things I want. Now, I'll probably just help him out because he's a good guy. But those are the kind of things that you see when you get a blank. Is then you have to make a decision. Is this somebody I want to work with? Is this something that, even if they don't have anything on my wish list, do I want to take the time to look through their account? So a lot of it is about reputation, established relationships, and then the account size. It certainly doesn't hurt when somebody like Maddie sends you a blank and he's got 107,000 cards or something like that. So
you'll find something you like.
Yep.
Yeah, nice. For that. Well, dude, this is awesome. Thank you very much.
Really
Ben.
good.
And what I really appreciate about it is I mentioned at one point we were lucky enough to have Danny Machado on the show. He did a really good job explaining the platform from the Upper Deck perspective. But what I like about this conversation is that you really come at it from the collector perspective and in its use cases and how, how the platform really enhances your hobby experience. And I learned a lot of stuff. Did you, Phil?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm probably going to rewatch this 3 times this week.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm always going to be happy to join, especially, if there's ever new products coming out or if I think they're probably in the process of a build cycle for some new features because they did recently implement some recent minor changes that made some good long awaited changes that occurred. And so hopefully I think there's more on the way soon. But I'd always be happy to be back for that. And I really appreciate getting the opportunity to educate some people about my favorite way to collect.
Yeah, absolutely. You're our guy, Ben. You're the ePack guy to the show.
The hobby is very vast. There's, vintage, 90s, ultra modern, ePack, physical. Some people, I guess, on what is it, Upper Deck Revolution or whatever, probably do that.
Yep, Evo.
Evo do that too. And so yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we really try to do on our show is tell the stories all throughout the various aspects of the hobby. And I think that I in particular want to have you back on at least because you really perked my interest with that Ultimate Chase.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe following the Ultimate Chase for 2022.
Yeah, when the next one comes out, I'll be glad to come on. I will tell you, I tell this to the people in my group, I will gladly help somebody decide whether or not they want to do Ultimate. I will not tell them my process secrets, my strategy to how I score and all that stuff.
You're competing.
Yeah, we're giving you money. You got to help us. We're giving you 1,000 each. Remember,
it's the one area that I have a couple of close friends who know what I do and I share my spreadsheet with because we're working as a team.
Sure.
That's the one thing I keep from everybody else.
Keep it close to the vest. Don't tell
I love how you just volunteered $1,000 out of me. And
okay. Checks in the mail, Ben.
Checks in the mail, Ben. Checks in the mail. Well, thank you. And again, I do want to mention the group one more time in case you're interested in joining. It is Upper Deck ePack Buy Sell Trade Community. Of course, it's in the Upper Deck or the Facebook groups feature. Ben Barry, thank you very much for coming on the show. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you guys both for the opportunity. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, Phil, you came through. You delivered.
I delivered. He's good, eh? Told you.
I think he could be our go-to guy. Ben was awesome. You still think that you have? So, what are you confused about when it comes to ePack League?
Dude, he started talking about all this achievement stuff and this, that, and the other thing to get this and turn it in for this, and oh boy.
Busy, eh?
That was another Baba Louie hobby hot take.
Set you up.
Had to get it in there.
Had to get it.
Rip Party.
That was a total setup, Josh. He's like, Phil, watch this. Hey, Louie.
Yeah.
Phil froze again.
Yeah. I know not to play cards with you guys. Josh will be kicking Phil under the table. Watch this. I'm going to dog Louie on this one.
We should play euchre. I like euchre.
Oh, yeah, I like euchre too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All our free time, we'll play some euchre.
Yeah.
Well, what a show! We got an NHL Insider. We got then hopefully we can count on with amazing information. We've got an ePack guy that is our go-to with any questions or to give updates on the platform. I didn't know about like the whole Ultimate Collection Challenge thing.
Yeah, it was hardcore, eh? Well, it was wild.
Yeah, I want to follow that.
He almost went a level up in Ben Barry's seriousness. A little bit. It was pretty serious.
That was good. All right, guys. Well, that's our show. If you like the episode, please leave a rating and review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with Phil or Louie or me, I guess. I don't know. On the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join on a $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description, in our Instagram, TikTok profile, or you can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, or just go to Patreon directly, patreon.com. Yeah, we're a bunch of old guys on social media. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And boys, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC.
Rip Party.
All right, Louie, take us out.
Bye-bye.
That was creepy.
Yeah.
See ya.